we figured it would be good for us to start with something digital positioning, right? If you don't know me already, my name is Shanae Owen, and on the phone with me, Dwayne Gottsmere, and I have a newbie, not so newbie to the team, Shauna Todd. Um, she's going to be helping us out for a couple of months in this project in the DL Lab for 2021. All right. Like I said before, I'm happy to have you here. The first session for the new year. Look out for future sessions coming up in the next couple coming months. But today is this webinar series is two parts. So you have today, which is digital strategies for millennial businesses. That's today, and then next week you have social media hacks for businesses. Okay, so it is very important that you join us for both days because your presenter is going to be giving you some homework for you to go do, and then she wants her work come next week. Okay, so keep that in mind. So today we're doing digital strategies for millennial businesses, and then next week Sunday, same time, same presenter, we're going to be doing social media hacks for businesses. Okay, I must also say happy Women's Month. I think we're doing. I hope you're not steering me in the wrong direction here. I think Women's Day is tomorrow, but they're celebrating it today. I know I'm a woman, I should know these things, but forgive me, the brain not so wonderful nowadays. But extending, happy Women's Month to all women out there. Guys, hug up your mommy, kiss your mommy, hug up your girlfriend, kiss your girlfriend, your cousins, your female cousins, family, and friends, right? Tell them that you love them. We're celebrating women this month, okay? Now, let me just get right into it because we're a little behind time. So let me go ahead and introduce your guest speaker or your guest facilitator for today. So, she is a very good colleague of ours. She is really a digital strategist, consultancy, marketing specialist, everything digital and marketing. That's your girl. Her name is Karen Scott. She has been, she's been the digital person, the digital and marketing person at Yellow for many years. She's been at the Stocks and Securities Limited. She's been a trainer. She's an adjunct lecturer at Carmack at the UMONA. And now she is at Digicel. She is, Karen, I want to get your title right, so let me pull up the title again. She's a digital business manager at Digicel right now, right? Yes. So she's incredibly experienced, incredibly talented in this field, and she's going to pass on as much information as she can to you. Now, please, she's not shy. She's not afraid of questions. Please go ahead and ask her as many questions as you want. This course, of course, is not something that you're paying for. So, get as much information in as possible. Talk to her, ask her questions, pick her brain. She's incredibly wise in this field. So please don't be afraid. And without any further hesitation, I'm going to hand over the floor now to Karen. Karen, are you there?
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, I'm hoping everyone is good this morning. I'm hoping that, we are almost at the end of the first quarter of 2021. And I know for some persons, 2020 was a rough year, and I'm certainly hoping that 2021 was a good year for you. All right. So I want to just go through a couple of things for right now. First of all, so before I get into, Shanae did an excellent job of introducing me. Thanks, Shanae. But before I get into, just the thicker things, a couple of rules are going through a couple of things for today. So for one, and if you see me looking to my left, I'm using two screens. So please don't think that I am, not looking at you or not conversing with you, but I'm just looking at two screens at the same time, trying to get myself set up over here. So for one, in terms of, just today, we're going to be going through quite a bit. And part of what we're going to be going through today is, a large part of it is, I would say, somewhat theoretical, but it's the foundation that is going to kind of guide you forward, right? So I am the type of facilitator where I am here to facilitate the learning. I am not here to lecture you, or I'm not here to, just focus on what I want to do. I'm here to facilitate the learning. And part of that facilitation means at the end of the day that you get a chance to ask any of the questions that you want, right? So if I'm going over something and it seems like a little unclear, or you're just not sure, stop me and say, can you go over that again? I don't understand. What does that mean for my business? You understand what I'm saying? So I want you to feel free to be able to kind of stop me and kind of, have that. I am going to be sharing from a wide variety of examples based off of what Shanae, Dwayne, Miss Todd has shared. It is certainly a case where there are a wide variety of entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs in this group. So I'm just going to be picking examples from various industries. What I'm going to ask you to do right now is, if you can just hop on over to the chat and tell me what particular business you currently have or you are building. And that will kind of help me to zone in on, when I'm giving my examples, zone in on a particular industry. So if you can just give me like a one-liner about your business and what it's all about, and, just what industry it's in generally, or what you're trying to achieve with your business, that is going to be very helpful for me as I go through this morning. So as Shanae mentioned, the structure of today, and by the way, don't call me Miss Scott. I don't know who that person is. Call me Karen, right? So the structure of today is one where we're going to be going through, a lot of things from the digital spectrum. We'll end it next week when we touch on email marketing, but it's just a lot. It's a lot to absorb. But what I've tried to do really is capture some of the really critical the questions that I get a lot from entrepreneurs. So although I work in a corporate context, I've also consulted and worked with entrepreneurs and helped to train entrepreneurs as well over the last few years. And I've gained an understanding of some of the key critical questions that persons want to ask. If it is a case where you have additional questions as I'm going through, drop them in the chat and I'm going to look at them. We're going to get into just a very brief get to know session really quickly. I'm not going to be able to go through everyone certainly, but I'm going to try my best to be able to just talk to all of you to go through. So the rules for today, first of all, we understand that everybody is, they have their own opinions, right? And some persons won't agree regarding their opinion. So we want everyone to be respectful of your opinion. Also, and we're all big adults here, so I don't think I need to delve into what that respect looks like and what that means. But we certainly want to give everyone an opportunity to share and everyone an opportunity to learn and gain an understanding from their particular context. The next thing that we wanted to do is please keep your mics on mute for the duration of the session, but feel free, if you have anything to say, to go ahead and turn on your mic. If you're going to turn on your video, which I would prefer if you're going to turn on your mic, I really prefer to converse with persons face to face. And if you're going to turn on your video, I'm asking if you can be behind a solid background, right? So just now I was hunting around for some sort of solid background, okay, behind me, where I know no one is going to be coming through that door. And I know that at the end of the day, we won't have incidences, which I personally experienced in terms of being in the online space, where you have any, lesser close members of your household and that kind of thing kind of walking through, right? So just be very cognizant, a good, a wall or something of that nature is kind of a good place to sit if you're going to turn on your camera. And beyond that, I really just want this session to be a learning session for all of you. I want you to be able to kind of grasp the concept of what I'm going through. And I've taken a very broad approach. Oftentimes, when we look at digital strategies as it pertains to business, we kind of only zoom in on social media, and we think that social media is pretty much it. And that's not really just the context that I'm bringing from and the point that I'm coming from today. I'm trying to widen your context so that you can kind of have a very good scope. And then next week, we'll kind of zone in a little more on social media, because I know that is certainly the most easiest to adapt in terms of, it's not always the cheapest or the best one to use, but it's the easiest to adapt for most entrepreneurs at the day. All right, so let us get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. 1 second, please. All right, you should be seeing my screen now. Yep, looks like you are. All right, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and just one other thing really quickly. I'm gonna, let me just, yes, you should be seeing my screen now. All right, so for parts of the video, I'm going to, if I find that there's any concern regarding, we all know how internet is. I have some real good internet over here, some real good digital internet, but we know sometimes the bandwidth can get a little tricky. And so I may have to turn off my video, at some points if we have a problem where you guys are not hearing me. So just feel free to let me know if it is a case where you're not hearing me or anything of that nature, so that we can, I can know and I can turn off my video or anything of the sorts. All right. All right. So let's get into it. And Sinead did a really good job. But this is like this here, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit, and I don't really want to talk about me, but I want to talk about why it is that I can help you to learn, right? So I have been working in digital marketing for more than 5 years. I put more than 5 years here, but it's a good low chunk, right? Sinead would have mentioned I am the digital business manager right now at Digicel, and my app is the My Digicel app, which I'm hoping that most of you are familiar with. Now, I am also an adjunct facilitator at CARIMAC, and I'm the marketing director at the Caribbean Society of Human Resource Professionals. My background now, and I want to talk about just a little bit my background experience and why is it that I can help you learn. So I have a bachelor's in marketing. Started out like your regular marketing degree from UE, and I focused a lot of my postgraduate experience in you know just learning about digital. I actually was very much a junior brand manager, and I decided, I fell in love with digital at the time it was social media, and I really wanted to just learn more about digital. And so I switched over to, took a bit of a somewhat of a demotion to join a different company and kind of have a start at the bottom ladder in terms of just digital and understanding digital. And I have been able to, grow in that capacity since then. So I would have then gone on to do my my MBA in management information systems, to bringing the IT side and the digital side a little bit more. And I am doing a postgraduate diploma in education and training right now at BTDI, so that I can teach you better, right? And of course, well, I should probably remove Google certified because my certification is renewing. But yes, I'm Google certified. I have been Google certified time and time again. So I want you to understand that I have worked across a couple of contexts, right? So I've worked across social media, and I've worked across, and we're going to get to the objectives pretty soon. I've worked across social media. I've worked across, just display and just broad digital. I've worked across websites. I've worked across search engine marketing. I've worked in the context to help manage SEO, and also, currently right now, I am learning the app side of the business, right? And so, when you think about digital, what I've tried to do in terms of my career is certainly be able to understand the various contexts and understand the scope, so that when it is a case where I come to talk to you as, entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs, I'm able to distill the knowledge of what it is that is really important for the big companies, and what is really important for the smaller businesses, and what is most relevant to the smaller businesses. And that is really why I'm here to facilitate that learning for you. I'm helping to bring my experience to the table to be able to help you learn better. So it's not about me, but it's about you today. And I want you to understand that. And I want you to feel free to be able to engage with me however you choose fit. Whether it is, just talking, or even putting on your video and talking, but getting involved and asking questions, and understanding what some of these things means for your business. So, I mean, in terms of the objectives for today, I want you to be able to leave with a pretty solid understanding of a couple of things. One of them is certainly, search marketing. One of them is, display to a very small extent. Another one is, websites, e-commerce websites. That's a huge one for entrepreneurs right now, our potential entrepreneurs, as well social media, right? And looking at just social media at a high level. And next week, we will get a little bit into email marketing, right? And search marketing, by the way, involves SEM and SEO, which is search engine marketing and search engine optimization. So we'll break those down and kind of dissect that for you so you understand. And these are buzzwords that people hear all the time, but they don't really understand the context of what it means for their business, or just generally, what it means for what's the application side, right? So we're going to give you kind of introduction to each of these, and then, between now and next week, be able to kind of bring them out in a real kind of way. All right, so let's dive straight into this. And this is a very popular, this is my diagram, one that I've developed over the years. And it's a very popular diagram, not popular. It is a very misunderstood diagram. That's what I want to say. A very misunderstood diagram, because persons always, when they think about, just generally, digital and the entire digital spectrum, they don't think about all of it, right? They always zoom in primarily on social media, or they zoom in on just one or two things, right? But they don't understand the spectrum, and they don't understand what the spectrum at the end of the day, the relevance to it for your business. So let's talk through the spectrum a little bit. So at the core, we have with your website or your app. And I say that if, I put our app because some apps are, native apps are meant to be kind of hosted within themselves. And some apps at the end of the day are associated with a website. So it's kind of like a web version of, a mobile version or app version of a website, right? But for those, if you put aside those that are versions of websites, we really get into where you want to bring people to either your app or your website to be able to transact some sort of business, right? That at the end of the day is going to be able to solve a solution for them and put money in your pocket. That's really the bottom line of this core, right? And that's something that we all, look for in our businesses. Now, I've included a few things in here, and these are like spokes in the wheel, almost like a bicycle wheel, right? These are spokes in the wheel. So I'll deal with the less common ones first, and I'm going to come to the more common, or let me do the reverse. The more common and come to the less common. So we know social media, right? Probably TikTok should be in that top in there too, but social media is I don't think we need to break down what social media is or why it's even relevant today. The fact of the matter is that our customers are on social media. So wherever our customers are, if our customers are in Timbuktu, we're going to Timbuktu to try to convince them at the end of the day that our product, our service is most important and relevant to them, right? The next one that might be pretty popular that persons may not know is popular is display, right? So we do see display everywhere. If you go on to Forbes, if you go on to Glean, how much of us go on to Glean and the ads are kill we like, they're wicked, right? That is an example of display in of itself. So wherever it is you have a website structure or even a mobile phone structure and there's a dedicated fixed space for an ad, whether it's a video ad or it is a static ad, right? Or it's a more complex ad like lightbox ads, where it is that you click on it and it opens into something bigger and you want to know, why is this thing taking over my screen, right? Regardless of whatever it is, that falls under the display context of things. Then we also have mobile, and mobile is kind of a bit like misunderstood as well, because mobile is more than just apps and just going on and using your mobile phone. You have things like near me technologies and stuff like that some of them haven't quite reached to Jamaica as yet, and the Caribbean, but they're getting there, where you can use mobile in different ways. You also have the SMS side of mobile, Of course, mobile is one of the biggest, plugins to emails, which we'll go through email marketing a little bit more in depth next week. So these are some of the things that, mobile in of itself is a whole kind of ecosystem that is pretty complex, that is oftentimes misunderstood. Then you have online PR. And when we're talking about online PR, we're largely talking about something called user generated content, which is, anywhere that, say, for example, you have a business and your business got a free feature in Gleaner, right? That is a version of online PR, right? Their online PR for bigger businesses can be a lot more complex. Yes, but I want you to understand that for smaller businesses, it usually functions in a way where either a bigger company or a bigger website, or a bigger social media page comes to you and gives you, space on their awareness from their platform, and you're able to get that for free. The whole point of PR really is that it's technically free, right? Technically, and you are able to get that for free, and this can be across the entire web. It can be from a partner website, so maybe it's a case where you sell jewelry and somebody over here sell clothes, and y'all choose to give each other online PR. There's so many ways in which online PR can be manifested, but it's an important part of the spectrum that you need to be able to understand. Podcasts and webinars. This is critical, because podcasts and webinars help direct people, right? The whole point of podcasts and webinars is either to educate or to be able to sell something. And that's the truth, right? You go on any podcast or any webinar that's out there, it's all directed at one or two things: education or selling something, right? It doesn't have to be a tangible something, it can be something intangible, but those are the main two objectives of having a podcast or a webinar. So these don't really, a podcast or webinar doesn't quite fit into any of the other contexts, so I've split it out separately from that. You also have this thing called SEO. Everybody's like, oh, SEO, and it's this big buzzword, and nobody knows what the clue it is, right? And the truth of the matter is that, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And it's part of that, the two segments of search marketing in of itself. So when we talk about search marketing, we're talking about anything at all that involves a search engine, right? Hands down, once it is involving a search engine, we're talking about search marketing. But when we look at search engine optimization, this is essentially, and we'll get into it a little bit more, the way in which you are able to prioritize your website on search engines by not pay, when you don't have to pay money, right? In order to be able to get it done. Or I should say, you don't have to pay money directly in order to be able to get it done. When we get talk about search engine marketing now, it's also known as pay-per-click, right? So SEM, search engine marketing, is also known as pay-per-click. Now, it can get a little bit confusing because pay-per-click is a model of just an advertising model of itself, but it's often, the two names are synonymous with each other. So I just really wanted to zoom in on that. Search engine marketing is basically you trying to prioritize your website on a search engine, but of course you're paying to do it, right? And that's the main difference between SEO and SEM. With SEO, you don't pay directly. With SEM, you pay directly. And we have email marketing. I think, some research, a little older research, but some research from a few years ago stated that, the closure rate from email marketing, you're talking about 20% of persons being able to close, being able to, 20% of persons that actually read your email convert, right, to whatever you want them to convert. And that's powerful, because although your open rate, so people oftentimes say email is dead because the open rate is low, people get so much mail, they don't even open it. And that's okay, if email, persons think that, but the truth of the matter, of the persons that open it, 20% in a converting is actually, out of all of these channels that are here, that is the highest convergent channel out of everything that is here, right? So you have to be able to understand each of these, and we'll get into a little bit to email marketing, and of course there's analytics and tracking. What's the point of doing what you do if you aren't able to see whether or not you're doing good or you're doing bad, right? And that's where analytics come in, and tracking the user journey. That's really what it's all about. Tracking where your buyers go, what their journey looks like, in order to be able to come in to, converting into a sale or buying an ebook or whatever it is that they're doing, that however you want them to convert. It could be picking up a phone and calling you. The fact of the matter is that you want to be able to track that. Any questions regarding that at this point before we move on? No? All right, I'm still waiting for persons to drop in the slide, drop in the chat in terms of, let me just kind of make Zoom a little bigger. Still waiting for persons to drop into the chat in terms of, whether or not what industry that they're in. That would be really helpful for me, so that we can kind of understand, or I can understand a little better, just how it is that persons are able to sorry, I just want to be able to see the chats. And I know sometimes Zoom, when you're sharing, it makes it a little harder to be able to see the chats from here. 1 second. So if you can just go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'm going to end the show 1 second. If you can just go ahead and drop that in the chat so that I am able to see. And that way now we are able to I'm able to kind of just see what it is that everybody's saying. It's very important for me to see what everyone is saying. Okay, so I see a few. Dwayne, someone says, I help my mom in her farm store. And then that's Dwayne. We have residential and commercial cleaning, consulting entrepreneurs and helping them understand and upgrade their business. Okay, very interesting. Thanks for that, Kimon. I'm trying to establish a chronic disease education business, helping persons to better understand how to manage diabetes, hypertension, and similar conditions. Wow, okay, very interesting. Glitz and Craft, we provide a wide range of handmade paper and wooden items. Very nice, Camille. I am in the business of personal care products, I'm in the business of personal care products, and I run an e-commerce business online. Excellent, Chandris. I'm gonna be asking you some things, Chandris, right? I use social media. I have not established my businesses yet. Writing services, consulting, says Ashage. I'm in the business of photography and cinematography, and I want to grow my online presence. Okay, excellent, excellent, very great. All right, let's go back to just sharing our screen once again. I need to be able to just make sure that I don't have the option from over here, but let me see if I can somehow get the option from over here to be able to see the chat while it is that I'm sharing my screen. Anybody can help? I'm just trying to, All right, I'm gonna just have to keep popping in and out in order to be able to make sure that, everybody is able to, I'm able to see what everybody's saying, right? Because certainly it's a case where Zoom is a little different than Teams. All these platforms are so different. I use them every day, but I think I know where to go. I think, nope, it's not there. Yes, it is. I think so. Sorry about that. Still not able to see the chat. All right, no problem. We're gonna keep going.
I think you need to exit full screen and you'll be able to see the chat.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm trying not to do. That's what I'm trying not to do. So I want to be able to, because I'm doing 2 screens, I want to be able to have the 2 screens and also see the chat, which I know I can do on Teams and other platforms. But, I know Zoom, Zoom just doesn't work with me, man. It just doesn't work with me. That's all right. No problem at all. I'll have to keep, going in and out in order to be able to see the chat and be able to, interact with you guys. Okay, let me see. Ah, perfect. Okay. It's a pop-up in of itself. Excellent. All right, we're good to go now. Cooking with gas. All right, so let's delve into websites. We have some more persons. Amanda says project management consultant and trainer seeking to launch a business whereby I offer short courses to improve one's professional self. I develop my own content and seeking to launch same. Nice, Amanda, very nice. And she says, I'm going to start a business selling press-on nails and lip gloss on Instagram. Sweet. I would certainly be interested in the lip gloss. All right, so let's get into websites. And I mean, you might be like, we don't need to go over a website. Everybody knows what a website is, but there's just one critical thing I want you to understand about websites. So websites, this is like a very baseline understanding of websites, right? So your browser is going to send a request to the website server, and the web server is going to receive the request, and the web server is going to respond to this request by showing the content that you produce. Everybody doesn't understand that there is a process that is here where your computers, the browser, whoever is visiting your website, has to basically send a request to a file on a server. They want to pull up the file on a server. I always share it in terms of, like a filing system, like a filing cabinet. So you have to go in and you have to look for the website file, right? So when you go on the URL, that's you going in the cabinet and looking for the website file. And then you go pull up the website file. So you take out the file and you open up the file. And then the content that is there would have been whatever is on the file from before. Now, if it is a case where you have any problems, whether with your web server, right, or the filing cabinet or whatever it is, right? So the web server is like the filing cabinet, or you have a problem with your content, it's going to affect the experience on your website. And you might be like, okay, so what's the big deal about this? It's because people have this concept where, a website is just this thing that comes up, and, errors on a website and what's like, and things like that are no big deal, right? And it's a case where, you can just continue like normal. But what they don't understand is that when you have an error on your website, it means something's wrong with that particular file that is there. And if you're affecting the file, you're affecting the entire website, right? And so we're going to see that later down in SEO, right? Where you're affecting some things, you're affecting the entire website, and you're affecting, most importantly, your visibility or your opportunity to be visible on search engines like Google. Right? So if it is that you have something like, and I've seen it time and time again, where you have, entrepreneurs that say, yeah, I have a business website, and they want to know, they say, yeah, long time I have a business website. Yeah, sure. And you talk to them and they say, yeah, man, it's been around for a little while, and they say, why, and they want to know why I can't see when it is that why I'm not being visible on Google, right? And they don't understand that if you have an older website or a website that's not up to date, right? You have a website that has errors, right? You have a website that at the end of the day is going to affect the entire viewing experience of that website. You're going to limit your chances of being visible on search engines such as Google. And I mean, how many times do we use search engines every day? I don't think I need to convince you of how important search engines are in the user journeys for almost all of our businesses right now. So I'm not going to delve into what a website is, but I want you to understand that concept. And some of the benefits of websites, of course, are going to include things like improving advertising effectiveness, improving credibility, easy access to new customers, expanding your market, educating existing customers, and of course, promoting and selling your business. So let's delve into what is e-commerce, right? A little bit. And E-commerce websites are something that you know, a lot of persons want to know about, right? They want to know why is it that e-commerce is so popular, and I think I just mistakenly, I think we had a little error there. All right, let me go again in sharing with you. Is there, I want persons to just sound off in the chat and kind of tell me if it's a case where, you know, you personally, you are interested in an e-commerce website for your business. Just let me know if you are interested in an e-commerce website for your business. That's really important for me to know, because if it's a case where, you know, the majority of persons aren't interested in e-commerce websites, I'm going to, you know, just quickly move on through this and not go into it in an in-depth way. So please let me know if it is a case where, yes, Sean is saying yes, Kimon is saying yes. All right, no problem at all. So let me just hop into e-commerce websites. Anthony, Shauna, okay, excellent. All right. So e-commerce really is about buying and selling of goods over the internet. We know this, right? You can call it e-business, e-commerce business, whatever you want to call it. And how does e-commerce work? So it's pretty much like you would have a physical retail store and you buy and sell. But the only things that you do it online, which we know, right? So one of the parties pays money and the other provides goods or services. Now, an e-commerce website is a site that sells products and services through the means of data transfer and funds over the internet. Yes? Types of e-commerce websites. No, we have B2B, business to business, business to consumer. I think most of you will be interested in business consumer, but some of you are interested in business to business, because I saw some persons, you know, saying that they want to be a consultant or that kind of thing in the chat. And then you also have consumer to business, right? And you also have consumer to consumer e-commerce websites. You also have consumer to administration websites, right? And these are where there are electronic exchanges with a consumer, when a consumer sells goods and services to people and public organizations. And you also have business to administration websites where, you know, these are exchanges of products and services between organizations and public administrations. I was wanting to understand that very broad range of types of e-commerce websites, because some persons think if they're in the B2B realm, that an e-commerce website is not relevant to them. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. So some of the key components of e-commerce websites are, of course, the actual website itself. For those of you that are going to sell products or services, it's going to be that storefront layout, right? It's actually a template. So you have, you know, options such as WooCommerce, BigCommerce, which we'll see, in order to be able to for that template in and of itself to have that storefront look. You have the product information, right? So people need to know what they're buying. You have the shopping cart and the checkout page, and you have an SSL certificate or TSL certificate associated. And you also have a payment gateway where the transaction happens. So what is an SSL certificate? Anybody want to tell me what SSL stands for? Sound off in the chat or turn on your mic.
Safe shopping technology.
No, good try, good try, good try. Anybody else? Anybody? No, I'll go Google it right now, right?
That's exactly what we're doing.
I'll go Google it right now. But if you, it stands for Safe Socket Layer, right? And we're gonna find out a little bit more about it. So SSL uses encryption algorithms to scramble data in transit, right? And this is going to prevent hackers from reading it as it is sent over the connection. All right. So this information can be anything sensitive or personal, which can include credit card numbers and other financial information such as names and addresses of your clients. So remember, there's this thing called HTTPS, right? Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. You're like, that it stand for? Never know that in the entire life, right? Most people don't know what it stands for, but there's a reason why I bring it out, and I want you to understand. And I'm gonna pull this over here so that we can all see this. And how do you know whether a website has HTTPS or not? Let's go to one of my real favorite websites, right? westelm.com. All right. And this is just a site where you buy home things. Yeah. And I want you to see this lock here. Everybody seeing this lock here? And if I were to click on this lock, right, it says connection is secure. Your information, for example, passwords or credit cards, is private when it is sent to this site. Yeah. And it has a certificate that you could see in order to be able to know that the SSL is valid. No, you're like, okay, what does it have to do with me? It have nothing to do with you. And it has a lot to especially to do with your visibility on search engines. So back in the day, like way back in the day, back in like 2000 and what was that? 2015, right? Back in the day. We had this thing that happened called mobile getting, and I think everybody will remember it. We call it mobile getting in the online marketing world, but everybody else is just like, oh, I saw it called, right? It was the Armageddon of mobile, where essentially what happened is that all of Google came out and said, based on all of the searches that are happening through their search engine, they had now moved to a space where more than 50% of those searches were now coming back in the tech day, right? Trust me, tech changes so fast, right? Believe it or not, there are things that I, based off of my, me not renewing my certification for the last year and a half for Google, there are things that I now don't know, right? It changes so fast. But my point is, back in the tech day in 2015, Google came out and said, we've now moved to a space where more than 50% of the actual mobile searches all of the searches in the world are actually now coming from a mobile phone as opposed to a desktop computer. And what it meant, it was like a huge pull-up, like money pull-up, right? Where Google says, no, but if most people are searching from a mobile phone, we need to prioritize this, and we need to make sure that the mobile experience is a fantastic one when people are using that. So they basically went and they said, look here, if your website is not mobile friendly, right, and able to handle all the different devices, and we talk about mobile friendly, it comes with layouts and all that kind of thing, which we wouldn't get into, right? They basically said, I don't really want to deal with you, so I'm gonna get you a knockdown, like a minus 100, right? And what happened, and if you know anything about it, about digital world and Google don't tell you nothing, they don't give you nothing without, and they just dash it upon you without warning. That's what you guys say in Jamaica, right? Dash it upon you without warning. Excuse me, I made Jamaican accent. I'm not Jamaican, but you're gonna hear me trying to sound Jamaican at some points, so have a good laugh, right? So it is a case where Google basically said, you have all of the, if you and your website cannot be mobile user friendly, then I don't want you being at the top of my thing. And how we found out about it was literally, people woke up one day and all the websites that were at the top were now way down at the bottom. Everybody was in panic, chaos. And essentially what it meant was that, everybody had to then scramble to get their websites mobile friendly, right? And that now we have a case where there's no way that you're building a website that is not mobile friendly. Yeah. So the same thing happened actually 2019 when it came to SSL certificates. But only thing is that Google gave us a little warning beforehand. It wasn't like, oh, mass panic, but it kind of happened similarly, where people woke up, their website was today ranking number 3 or number 4, and tomorrow it was ranking number 25, and they were like, what the hell happened? And Google basically is saying now that, if you do not have an SSL certificate associated with your website, you will not be ranked well on google.com. Full stop. No negotiations about it, right? Why is that important to you as entrepreneurs? Enough people go make websites, right? And then go do, they make website on their own. We as entrepreneurs, we love to go make website on our own, right? And figure it out because it's cheaper, right? And then what we don't realize is that when our website don't have SSL associated with it, you want to know why it is that you're ranking you not see your website. It's because you probably just don't have an SSL certificate associated with it, right? And this is not only for e-commerce website, this is for every single website. If you put up a one pager tomorrow, right? And the one pager say, come and buy some teddy bear over here, so, right? The one pager need to have an SSL certificate. Right? So yes, so a lot of persons, a lot of businesses are still in transition and they haven't realized that as yet, right? Where SSL certificates are not only relevant to e-commerce, but they're also relevant to all websites now. So it doesn't matter what your website is, you need to have an SSL certificate associated with it. On me right now, my website, one of my websites, I just haven't, I need to rebuild it. And because I haven't rebuilt it, you fall into that cycle, like you need to do something big with it. And so because you haven't done something big with it, it means that you kind of put it off. And then it means that like your website is still there without SSL certificate. I'm being very honest with you, right? So I just want you to know this, right? And SSL certificates are not hard to come by. They're usually like, you can buy them online many places, but they're usually like $80 a pop if you're buying one. If you're buying a whole bunch, if you have a bigger website ecosystem and you need to buy a whole bunch, they can come cheaper, but they're usually roughly about 80 US a pop, right? So I want you to understand the importance of SSL certificates now, not only for e-commerce websites, even though we're talking about e-commerce websites, but also the big, wider scope of just having visibility and ranking on Google. All right, so back to HTTPS. And HTTPS appears in the URL when a website is secured by an SSL certificate, right? Which we kind of figure out. The details of the certificate, including the issuing authority and the corporate name of the website owner, can be viewed by clicking on the lock symbol on the browser, which we saw a little bit ago. Now, what is a TLS certificate? The TLS certificate is basically like a new SSL, right? It's like a more secure way of doing it. It stands for Transport Layer Security, and we'll start seeing more of this coming out pretty soon as it becomes more popular. It's basically an improved version of SSL, and it is a protocol that establishes an encrypted session between two computers on the internet. It verifies the identity of the server and prevents hackers from intercepting any data at all. It works pretty much the same way that SSL does, using encryption to protect the transfer of data and information. Now, the TLS certificate also allows users to securely transmit sensitive data when using the HTTPS protocol. And this is ideal for applications such as banking, information authentication, email exchange, and any other procedure that requires a high level of privacy and security. All right. And essentially the whole point of all of that is that it makes it difficult for hackers, right, to be able to get to the information. And sometimes persons, and we're going to, as we go through e-commerce, we're going to understand why it is that, it is critical and very, very important for all of us to be able to understand this day, especially as we're coming up to PCI compliance, because we think that because, we have Shopify or we're using WooCommerce and, we're using PayPal and we're using Stripe or we're using our banks or whatever, we don't have to be PCI compliant. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. So what is a payment gateway? A payment gateway is essentially a merchant service that processes credit card payments or e-commerce sites and traditional brick and mortar, like the same way that a traditional brick and mortar store would, right? So basically you have, how do I explain it? And a merchant service, I'll read what's here, but I'm going to try to explain it for those that may seek clarity. It is a merchant service or platform that provides any online retailer that authorizes payments with a myriad of options like, debit card and credit card, digital wallets, UPI, and a whole lot more. Is there anybody that struggles with the concept of what it is that a payment gateway is? Let me know if you struggle with what it's all about in the chat. Think of the gateway as basically like metaphorical cash register in an electronic transaction. So like any cash register, it needs to be both secure and convenient to use, right? Most payment gateways accomplish the cashing out process in a few ways, right? In a few steps. There is encryption, then it's request, then it's fulfillment. The question Shauna asks, can TLS protect the user from being hacked? No, it cannot protect you from being hacked. But obviously, if you're employing more security features and more encryption as it pertains to, your transaction, the processing, or I should say the exchange of information, it makes it harder for hackers, but it cannot prevent you. There's nothing in this world that can prevent you from being hacked. And unfortunately, I don't want to scare you all, but the cybersecurity state of Jamaica is deplorable. Let's put it that way. There's a great need for, more, a bigger attention to cybersecurity in and of itself. Not to scare you, but I've had friends that work in cybersecurity seeing, on the dark web, prominent bank information, from Jamaica being sold, right? I've personally had the experience of having to deal with clients who have had their websites hacked. But the truth of the matter, when it comes to hacking, it's usually a case where the hacking for most websites in Jamaica, and this is based on my experience, unless you have something really serious to hide on your website, like your bank or whatever, most of the hacks that happen in Jamaica are personal, right? It's persons that have, either a vendetta or issue, or in one case, it was, somebody got fired and that person, in firing decided to screw up the company and they hacked their website and put a whole heap of crap on it, right? So the truth of the matter, hacking is really not I'm not saying it's not important, but I'm saying for a smaller business, hacking is not really your concern. Your concern is more so in terms of the keeping persons customer information secure and being able to not have person's data. It's more so focused on the data side of things, right? Not having person's data out there. That's really, and that's really what most hackers are after, right? They're after that data. But in terms of hacking your website and that kind of thing, it's very easy if, to get your website back up. But most of the time, if you are hacked as a small business, it's likely some person that has some sort of personal vendetta, or a hacker thinks that you have access to very important data for some reason. Dwight says, I work with PaySafe Merchant Services and Authorize.net. So Dwight, you need to help me out in this conversation, right? You need to help me out. So feel free to jump in at any point in time to put your 2 cents on this. Please, please, please. What is the best payment gateway to use in Jamaica? We're going to see very, 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 very soon. So from a payment gateway perspective, we talk about encryption. So between the user's browser and the server of the retailer, a payment gateway will encrypt data for exclusive use between seller and buyer. For the request, the authorization request occurs when a payment processor gets approval from a credit card company or financial institution to proceed with the transaction, right? So the fulfillment side is when the payment gateway has authorized this transaction and it allows the website and the interface to proceed to the next action. The payment gateway also serves a few other functions, including screening orders, calculating tax and costs, and using geolocation for location-specific actions. Now, what we don't understand, I think is very important to understand, is the types of payment gateways. Most of the time, what you are going to be working with is a redirect or a hosted payment page. you are more than likely, especially as an SME, you're not going to be doing on-site payments, right? And you're not going to be doing client-side encryption at all. Now, we might be like, what are all of these, right? And we're going to see soon. Please note, there's redirect, our hosted payment page. There's client-side encryption. So you check out on the site and the payment is off-site. And you have on-site payments, which is like server-to-server integration. On-site payment server integration is like big people like Amazon and those, Alibaba, those kind of big retailers that they literally have PCI compliance departments, right, to be able to handle their PCI compliance. So redirects are a hosted payment page. A hosted payment page is an out-of-the-box payment page where customers are redirected when they're ready to check out. The payment gateway securely receives the transaction data before it passes to the acquirer. So a standard example is pretty much most e-commerce transactions that we are accustomed to, right? Where it is a case where the minute that you go to pick checkout, right? And I want you to understand, think about your own e-commerce experiences. When you go to hit checkout, you're carried elsewhere. So it's almost like the cash register was not in the store. It was round the back on a different building, right? So once you say, yeah, man, everything in my car and I'm ready to go, I'm ready to cash out, it's like they say, all right, take up everything and go around the back and go to that next building over there and go do the cash out. That's how, the redirect works, all right? So platforms that you're very accustomed to, right? Like PayPal is a redirect, right? So when the gateway takes a customer to PayPal's payment page to handle the entire transaction, it basically is a redirect, all right? On the client side, for client-side encryption, where you check out on-site, payment off-site, the client-side encryption refers to encrypting sensitive information on the client-side device before sending it to the merchant server. So this is something that is done by some payment gateways. And this enables the merchant to really simplify their PCI compliance. Payment card industry, if it's one thing you know what PCI compliance is by the time we finish this, right? In a nutshell, it's going to enable you to accept payments on your website while encrypting your card data in your browser. So using the payment gateway encryption library in and of itself, right? The client side, the examples of this would be Stripe, right? So some of you may or may not be familiar with Stripe. Stripe requires a US, ID in order to be able to set it up. So, well, it now does, but it didn't always. And so some of you may be familiar with Stripe. Some of you may not be familiar with Stripe, but basically the front-end checkout happens on your website, but the payment processing happens through Stripe's backend. And so, for example, a friend of mine, I built a website for her, and how her Stripe happens is exactly that. If you go in on the back end of the website, you are able to actually see, there's a space where you have all of the person's like address and information and all of that stuff. And then, right, the payment side alone is done on Stripe's backend. But it means you in and of itself, your website has the person's data, like their personal data. And that is where the PCI compliance is going to be increased, right? Because you now have people's private data that you now need to associate. And even at the end of the day, whether or not you're going to use the redirect or you're going to use the client-side encryption, it's a case where you are still going to have some element of person's data, whether even it's a delivery address, right? And so PCI compliance, which we're going to get to really soon, is critical for you to understand. On-site payments are server-to-server integration. You don't need to concern yourself with this, but I'm just giving you the baseline knowledge. This is really for large-scale businesses. So you're talking like super big businesses. They tend to use on-site payments completely handled on their own servers, right? So basically you check out and think about the Amazon process. That's a classic example of that, right? Wherein everything is done under Amazon's domain. And you can often see, when it is that is a redirect. You can see when it is that it's an encryption based off of the URL that you are led to or you're directed to in order to be able to do the transaction, right? But you don't need to concern yourself with server to server, because people that do server to server, they need like a whole arm of their business to handle their PCI compliance and everything associated with that, because it means that they're at a higher risk and they have to handle their risk, and only super big companies deal with that kind of thing, right? So in simple steps, with a payment gateway, it's going to capture the credit card transaction. It's going to encrypt the transaction information. It's going to route it to the credit card processor, and then it's going to return either an approval or a decline notice. I want you to note something in here, step 3 and 4, right? So after the encrypted information, it's going to go to the credit card processor first. A lot of people don't know that. They think it goes to the bank. No. So it goes to, let's say, for example, this is Karen, right? And Karen has a business. Actually, let me going to go back to my businesses up here. Felicia has a residential and commercial cleaning business. So let's say with her business, she has the website, right? And persons can go on and choose what type of cleaning is that people want, right? So whether it is they want cleaning for them home, just a basic level, come in, sweep mop, them kind of things there. Whether it's a case where they want deeper, where it's like they're moving for the first time, or the place just need a deep clean, and they come in and they have different levels of deep clean. So let's say for my home, I just want to come in, sweep mop, clean off surface, them kind of things, dust down the place, right? So I go onto Felicia's website, right? And so with Felicia's website, it's a case where when I go to pay now, right? I want you to follow me in this journey, right? When I pay, that information, right, regarding my credit card is going to go to Felicia's merchant bank. So let's say her merchant bank is First Global Bank, right? That's for her business, right? She has a merchant account with First Global Bank, right? It's going to go to First Global Bank, and First Global Bank is going to give it a nod. And then First Global Bank is going to then send it to Visa, because I say I'm using a Visa card. First Global Bank is going to send that information to Visa, and Visa is going to look at that information, and Visa is going to come back and say, yeah, there's some approve, right? And then it's going to come back through the same way, where it's going to come back to the merchant bank, right? And then when it comes back through to the merchant bank, to First Global Bank, right? It is a case, look here, I'm a big advocate for First Global Bank, Sean, so don't let me get started. I've been with them for more than 5 years now. Best banking experience I ever had, but that's not a plug, by the way. I have no affiliation with them. So, let's say it's gonna come back now to First Global Bank. What First Global Bank is going to do is First Global Bank is going to then go, right, and say to NCB, which is Karen's bank for a Visa card, right? It's going to then say to NCB, look here, you owe me some money, right? Because, you're a person make a purchase, yeah? And so NCB is going to then deduct. They're not going to deduct the funds from my account, but they're going to deduct the balance, right? So you can see the drop off, right, in the money on the balance. Then they send over the money yet, but them just they're like in the balance side of your account, they must say, yeah, you owe somebody over there, so just make sure that may put that round the corner and hold that for right now. So they're going to deduct it from your balance. Then after that, no, First Global Bank is going to say, yeah, all right, you do your thing, NCB, cool, transaction done, right? And it means that once that is done, it comes back over to Felicia's website, where it says, yes, approved, all of that, delivery address is whatever. No, like the next day, or sometimes all 2 days after, there is settlement that happens. And it's at that point of settlement that NCB say, yo, I have some money over here for you, and First Global says, send it now forward. And NCB sends the money over to First Global Bank. And that is a settlement process. So some people don't understand. You have to understand this, because I see this happen so many times with entrepreneurs, even with debit cards, right? They think that once the transaction happen, boom, swipe the card, right? The money reach in the account. No, it don't work so. Right? There's a settlement process that happens afterwards, sometimes 1 day, 2 days for some banks. They tend not to go past 2 days still, right? But there's a settlement process that happens afterwards where the actual money then is transferred to the account itself, okay? So I want you to understand that, right? Especially with how these payment gateways works. And really and truly, so I want you to understand there's a layer between the merchant bank, right? Visa or MasterCard, right? Or American Express, if you're so inclined. And then there's another layer too, coming back on the return route where you have to include the person's personal bank. All right. So I want you to understand that. So I tell you all this thing about e-commerce and payment gateway, but I really want to break down the ones that are most relevant for you in Jamaica right now and in the Caribbean context on a whole. Majority of banks. So I had the privilege when I was in my previous job, I developed the e-commerce website product so I had to dig into that. I had to work in that for like quite a number of months. I have a very good understanding of it across the Caribbean. And this was up to within the last 6 months. And up to the last 6 months, the primary, and it still is so right now, the primary payment gateway for banks in the Caribbean, right? Kimon, I see you. Felicia says, true, authorization is placed to hold that common when buying from Amazon. Yes, Felicia, you know how the thing go. So it is a case where this institution now called First Atlantic Commerce is really the main payment gateway that banks in the Caribbean use. There's one bank in Belize that I know that they use another payment gateway, which is a US payment gateway, but they realized that worked for them, and they're also coming back over to FAC. So essentially what happens is that it's not just your local bank, but it's also, so with your local bank, you go to your local bank to set up your merchant account, right? And you set up your merchant account with them, but you also have to separate and apart from that on your website, set up an account with First Atlantic Commerce, and you have to pay for them plugin and all that thing, right? The difference, of course, between First Atlantic Commerce and PayPal is PayPal, you can download PayPal and set that up for free, right? But PayPal is going to their payment, their revenue model is that they're going to charge you a piece off of every transaction, right? A certain percentage off of every transaction. That's how they make their money. First Atlantic Commerce, you have to pay in order to be able, it's 280 US. You have to, 279 US to be exact. You have to pay in order to be able to download or get their plugin to put on your website, right? That part is not free. And then also they take a percentage of that. Now you might be like, but so why am I just go with PayPal? Because the biggest challenge with PayPal and people in the Caribbean is, anybody want to tell me in the chat? Somebody?
Not being able to get your money transferred to your bank.
Lord, amen. Right? Who said that?
Amanda,
you know how the thing go, right? That is the biggest problem with PayPal, right? And people in the Caribbean, they can't get their money out to the US. Them can't get the money, right? So you have to do all kind of things and wire. And, like I remember one of my friends, like she had to basically use the PayPal account to just buy the stuff for a business that she needs to buy online, because that's the only way she can get the money out of there. Right? She can't get it to come to Jamaica, right? So that's why it's most Jamaican businesses is better to go through your local bank, right? Because PayPal and Stripe is a case where you can't get your money out to the States, none at all, right? So you talk about, that's not a big problem. You say that when it is like cash flow hit you and you have bills to pay and you can't get your money, you see big lump of money on PayPal account to say that you have how much 2,000 US over there, and you can't get none of it to come and pay your bills that are local, right? So the recommendation, Cash App is, you're talking to My Cash App? Is that what you're talking about, Kimon? if you have a US account, you can transfer it. You can put it in your US dollar account, right? Sorry, you can put it in your US bank account, and then you would have to wire it to Jamaica. But the majority of business people in the Caribbean, they don't have a US bank account because they don't have a US ID, right? Yeah, Chandris, you say that, but how much ads you really gonna run as an SME, right? How much shopping online you really gonna do, right? The fact of the matter is that, especially if your primary business model is that e-commerce shop, it means that all your money is stuck overseas. So it's not practical for the main, average Jamaican business. So First Atlantic Commerce is the gold, the diamond standard, right? When it comes to payment gateways. Their payment gateway is honestly fantastic. When you can go onto their website and check them out and the level of encryption that they have and what they do, right? They're good at what they do. And so all of the banks within the Caribbean, they go to First Atlantic Commerce, and that is how they use First Atlantic Commerce to be able to handle the payment gateway side, right? So First Atlantic Commerce really is the payment gateway that you use, but it interlinks with the merchant bank itself in order for you to, for the transition of funds between, from and to your account and that kind of thing. Yeah. So I want you to understand that, and understand that, First Atlantic Commerce, the process with the local banks. I was actually going to put down here all of the detailed, like payment structures and all of that, but I never put it because I know I can't come off record and say something. I would strongly recommend, if you're going to go this route, right, to go to NCB. Based off of my experience working in the industry for a couple of years, right, with websites and e-commerce websites, they're the best one that knows what they're doing. And that's the truth when it comes to, e-commerce payment gateways. All of the other banks are getting up to scratch. And it's not to say that, some people have different experiences. Some people Sagicor is very new to the game. Scotia has been in there for years, but this is, Scotia is, the experiences. Yeah, so sit with NCB, right? NCB is really the place to go to. And I have no affiliation with NCB at all, but I'm just telling you based off of, SMEs that have gotten, the best and the fastest experience, and the banks that know what they're doing, right? And have departments dedicated to helping customers with this kind of thing. NCB is who you really want to stick to. And they also have, there's another one out of Trinidad. I can't remember what it named. But once again, I have a friend of mine. She went through that literally last year, and it was a whole hot mess. They would not respond to her. They never came back to her. And this was an alternative payment gateway to First Atlantic Commerce. Like, she couldn't get through to them, and after a while, she had to abandon the whole show, right? Yes, right. They've been doing it for a while now, like more than probably 6 years they've been doing it, right? So they know the ins and outs of it, and they have what's most important when I'm telling you to go to NCB is not only that they know, but they have their things structured. So when you coming in as a merchant and you're setting up your merchant account and all these things, right? It's a case where they already have like structure to it, where they can send you something and you understand, and it just makes sense for you as the average Joe. Whereas some of the other banks, like, so I wouldn't lie to you, I don't know anyone I only know one person alive that has used Sagicor Bank. Sagicor Bank is pretty new with their whole, merchant experience and that kind of thing. So I can't really judge Sagicor Bank, but I know Sagicor Bank is not. I know their model is not, I think they have two models, and one of them is really not a straightforward, like, going through First Atlantic Commerce kind of thing. So just take these things into consideration, guys. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I really just think this is really relevant when you talk about digital strategies, right? This is something that I cannot touch. And this is just some more information about FAC and, them basically, I mean, you can read all this stuff on their website, really and truly, and the features that they have, their PCI compliance level, their level 1, how much years of experience they have. Basically, First Atlantic Commerce is a Bermudan institution, and they handle they do access to banks for, you know, Bermuda, Latin America, the Caribbean region, a very wide space. They have 3D Secure. It's a whole heap of things, but they're fantastic at what they do. Oh, I did put in the fees. All right, cool. So you see, a next thing why people don't like PayPal, right? And I'm gonna tell you straight up, Stripe fees are cheaper, right? When you're talking 4.4% of your transaction, you as a small business, the biggest question that you have to ask, am I gonna pass that over to my customer? So if I am selling, for example, me did go and me say, all right, I want the cleaning service, and they say, all right, it is $30,000 for the people that come in and clean your house, and you know, that's how much it can cost for them to do a certain level of clean, right? Am I going to charge the customer the $30,000, or is a case where I'm going to charge the customer the $30,000 that I want in my pocket for my P&L, plus the 4.5, call it 5%, right? That PayPal is going to charge me, so it come to, I don't know. Somebody do the math. I think it comes to like $3,150, right? So the question is, are $30,150. The question is, are you going to, sorry, $31,500, mercy. So the question is, at the end of the day, are you going to pass over that fee to the customer? Are you going to absorb it as a business? No, you're not going to absorb it as a business, right? So you have to think about that kind of thing, right? With, you know, PayPal, Stripe, all of these that have fees, even FAC, right? That FAC has fees and it's by percentage. Your online merchant bank, you think that FGB and NCB and all of them not charge you, them charge you the same way, right? So they're charging you a percentage. The payment gateway charge you percentage. So by the time you look around, it's close to 10% that you're being charged. And that's the truth. I'm not playing with you. It's a hard truth about it. So the question is your customer going to pay $33,000 for something that if they did it offline is going to be $30,000, right? You have to think about that and make a decision for your business. So some places you might find that when you go to the store, it is cheaper than when it is that you go and do it online. And I have Stripe fees included here as well. So let's talk about PCI compliance for a hot minute. What is this all about? I've been mentioning it time and time again, and you're probably wondering, what's this thing? So this is the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Once again, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, wholly for abbreviation. But what it is a set of requirements designed to ensure that all businesses that process or store or transmit credit card information maintain a secure environment. Stick a whole heap of bin. Process, store, right, or transmit credit card information. It's not just for credit card, it's mainly for credit card information, right? But you also have to take it in consideration when you're having people addresses and all those kind of things as well. So it's a standard that really was created by Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express, right? And it defines a series of specific data security standards that are relevant to all merchants, regardless of whatever it is that they're doing in terms of their transactions. So it's not in and itself a law, right? It is a standard. So if an organization operates its own on-premise or self-hosted cloud commerce solution like Amazon, which we went through before, they need to be PCI compliant. If a company operates a SaaS-based e-commerce store that do not have access to any credit card holder data, right, its need for PCI compliance is greatly mitigated. But please note, it is not eliminated. Did you see them come saying that you don't need to have PCI compliance? No, they're saying, which is the case for most small businesses, if you are a company that operates an e-commerce store, right, and you're using somebody else for your payment gateway, and you don't have access to the people and credit card information, it still means that you need to at least maintain a certain baseline PCI compliance. So educating your business on PCI compliance is actually the first step to making sure that you're protected. And please note, let me see if it's in here so you'll see. Online businesses tend to be prime targets of data theft, which we spoke about earlier on, which is why e-commerce providers take it very seriously. Being PCI compliant doesn't just mean providing a secure encrypted checkout experience. You'll also need to avoid storing any purchasing information on paper or via recording. Stop. How many of us are violating this? How many of us are violating this? You also need to avoid storing any purchasing information. We're talking their address, we're talking delivery address, we're talking phone number, any purchasing information at all. You're also going to need to avoid storing that on paper, right? Or via any type of recording. All right. So like, for example, so I don't know if you've ever experienced where you've called a business place in order to be able to do a credit card transaction, and you call back next day or whatever to do a different transaction. And it's a case where you say, yeah, man, but y'all took my credit card information yesterday, but we're not supposed to, we don't keep that. So, but what often happens is that I write it on a piece of paper, right? And then drop it in the bin. That's not how you're supposed to do it at all. Those things are supposed to be shredded. Those things are supposed to be not burned, but shredded. You get what I say? They need to not exist any further past then. So the drop in the bin thing doesn't cut it at all, because somebody can easily go in the bin, figure out who it was that you were speaking to, and then boom, that's an opportunity for theft. All merchants fall into one of four levels, right? Based upon credit card or debit card transaction volume over a 12-month period. So level 1 is the most strict level. So people like Amazon and whatever, is 100% level 1, right? Level 4 is the least strict, right? So almost all small and medium-sized businesses classify as the lower level 3 or level 4 merchant. However, this does not preclude the necessity to maintain compliance with the same diligence as large organizations. Merchants that do not comply with PCI compliance, I know this is where they get real serious, right? Merchants that do not comply with PCI DSS and are involved in a credit card breach may be subject to fines, card replacement costs, or incur costly forensic audits. The worst thing is when it is that you have an audit that needs to be done and the audit can't done. How many of us have seen that happen in other businesses, and the amount of money that goes down the drain? All right. The credit card companies at their discretion are the ones who administer fines to the merchant's bank and can range between $5,000 to $100,000. This is US dollars per month for PCI compliance violations or breaches. I don't know about you, but in my business, I'm not making $500,000 to $100,000 US dollars per month. I'm laughing, but it's a very serious thing, right? And what you find is that if you were fooled to think that if you had PCI, a PCI breach, right? That FGB or NCB are gonna come and pay 5,000 USCU, you're very, very misaligned, right? In life and how life works. It's not gonna happen, right? So guys, this is serious stuff we're talking about here, right? I might be laughing, but it's a very serious issue. And it's something that we keep seeing violations of. I say we, like I'm some sort of part of PCI. No, I'm not. But it's something that I'm very passionate about, because enough time, in the day-to-day of business, people violate these things all the time. And please note that what they say, the bank is going to in turn pass down these fines back to you as the merchant, right? Which is basically what I was saying. So any questions you have regarding PCI compliance, feel free to turn on your mic, or otherwise. Clear like mud? If it's clear like mud, you can type mud in the chat, or you can come on and say mud. Have I lost you?
It's not I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Afternoon, morning still. Amanda here. Okay. I was just saying, this really opened my eyes, because in trying to, utilize this e-commerce system that's now taking us by storm, I knew nothing of PCI compliance and how, critical the knowledge is to whatever it is that I'm trying to do. So I just want to thank you for this information. I'll be definitely digging some more into this, because I for one, I like to be compliant with anything, you know. So this is good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you.
Excellent. Yes, and yes, Chandris, those fines are in US dollars, right? 100% US dollars. So I want you to understand, guys, that when we're talking about, and I just want to skip back to the previous slide, right? We just want you to be able to abide by level 4 stuff. So if you Google level 4 PCI compliance, and what is like required, you don't need to be PCI compliant, but we want you to implement the level 4 stuff in your day-to-day business. You understand what I'm saying? So whether it's simple things like, because part of level 4 is like training of your staff, right? So and Anthony said 5,000 US is a lot of burgers. Sorry, Anthony, that was a direct message. It's okay. I had to make it known to the rest of the persons. It's a lot of burgers, Anthony. 5,000 US dollars right now. All right, that's about 7.5 million Jamaican dollars for all who never did good at math, right? In school, 7.5 million Jamaican dollars. So please think about, and that's the lowest level, as you can see. So please think about what you really want to do with your life and your PCI compliance. But no, simple things like, just not writing these things down on paper, right? When it is that you have had transactions that happen between your website, making sure that you're not storing people's addresses, right? Especially, whether it's on a computer that don't even have like a firewall, right? And these are real things. In your business, have the sexiest computer with a whole heap of firewall and all these things, right? So you can't be storing people's addresses like on your desktop and these kind of things. You can't be, if somebody called with credit card information for you to do it, you can't be writing them down or typing them in a computer somewhere, right? People can hack and get their information. So you have to think about these things, right? And just kind of go through and find out some more information for yourself so that you can get a better understanding. But it's not to say you need to go and do a course and train your staff but you need to make your staff aware of certain practices that are just not going to cut it when you're looking at PCI compliance, and you have to make sure that you stamp it out in your business from early, right? So it's separate and apart from an email address for a customer, right? And even in that sense of the email address, you need to make sure that whatever platform it is that you're storing people's email addresses, you need to have some basic level firewall, something, right? To prevent people from hacking and getting person's personal information. So in the context of e-commerce websites, it says trust is essential for successful expansion and use of e-commerce websites. And we've seen this, right? Because we've seen it especially in developing developing nations. There's quite a bit of research in developing nations where, for example, in Japan and Tunisia, less than 60% of the customers said they're willing to put their trust in internet companies. And we hear this every day, guys, here in Jamaica, right? We hear this where a man say, boy, I'm not too trust that credit card thing, I'm not too trust this, or, I'm not too trust put bank number upon line and all of that. Have you not heard these things, right? The trust is a little bit stronger, like in, Asia, where 90% of them express trust. But, across the developing world, you find that there's a fear of data being misused or being shared with other entities, right? And here we have a writer from the Irish Tech Times saying half of internet users, right, Anthony, only my clothes me put online, right? Me not put no bank information, a card, none of that details online, right? Because people don't trust it. So we have a quote here where someone says half of internet users said a lack of trust is the major reason for avoiding online shopping, right? Another person said fraud and deceptive marketing are two of the biggest threats to the e-commerce market because they undermine consumer confidence. If consumers are not confident, they're not going to buy. Okay, so you need to be part of that process that is helping that. So I'm gonna wrap e-commerce by just well, not quite a wrap, but there's some things that I want to let you know regarding e-commerce and the considerations. I can't go through all of them today, But let's see if it is a case where doing our the rest of the team see it fit for us to like zoom in on e-commerce and in a big way. I have that ready, Dwayne. So if it's a case where you're interested, you can always let me know. But yes, so e-commerce considerations. You have to think about data protection and privacy. If you are an e-commerce business and you have not gone, or you have an e-commerce, you have any type of business, matter of fact, it don't even need to be a business online, and you have not gone on and downloaded the data protection act that is being placed in Parliament, for that is already in Parliament under review, then you're making a sad mistake. It is available. All you have to do is Google Data Protection Act Jamaica, right? And you can go on and find it on Google, and you go to the website and you download it. It's a long read, right? Don't read it when you want to fall asleep, but it's important for you to understand some of the key things that they're looking to roll out in Jamaica really soon, and how it is that you need to start putting some of these things in place from your business's perspective. No problem, Dave, no problem. These things that you need to start putting in place for your business's perspective, right? In order to be able to just kind of zoom in on making sure that you're doing the right practices by now before the act is passed. And then you find yourself like, oh, we have to change a bag of things. We have to change it. We have to change how we do that. We have to change how we do that. How much things you expect your staff and even yourself to change? How many habits you can change in a short period of time? Not many, right? So it's important for you to go on and read that Data Protection Act, right? Right now, if you put it for homework, please and thank you, right? So that you can understand it in a big way. All right. Next consideration, delivery, shipping policy, right? How you gonna get the people them things, right? Is a biker you're gonna use? You're gonna go deliver it yourself? What are you going to do? What you gonna write on the website to say how the people are gonna get them things? You have to think about those things. Returns or refunds. Don't come with that foolishness about you can't return nothing. A foolishness that, right? You can't do that on e-commerce. If people want to return, the thing never worked good for them. If they want a refund, you need to be able to facilitate that. You need to be able to put what your policy is as it regards to that. If you fail to put these policies on your websites, right? Guess what is going to happen? The court at the end of the day, if they choose to take it to court and get the people them back their money, the court is going to rule in the people in favor. Right? So it's important for you to state these things on your website. Privacy policy, you need to keep the people them things private. And I think that that's another homework item where you need to go and understand what privacy policy is all about, right? Terms and conditions, there are a bag of terms and conditions that are always associated with any e-commerce transaction. You need to be able to understand those terms and conditions in a very detailed way. Legal requirements, there are illegal requirements as well, right? So when it is that you put these policies and all of that, these are legal documents, right? You need to understand that. Delivery logistics, taxes. Jesus, let me just mention one bad word. How much people think it's a one bad word? Words in this tax month, right? Yeah, man, taxes. You take into consideration your taxes when you price your items. Think about those things, right? Yes, you need to pay taxes from your e-commerce business too. Duties, you want to send someone go foreign, right? How do people get it? Did you take into consideration the duties that is going to be required for them to get it, right? Think about that. Coupons and discounts, customer care or help desk, or even, you can have like HubSpot is one, like I remember like one of my very good friends, I was helping her website and, I use HubSpot, easy, free, right? Where you can have a simple pop-up on your website where it says to persons, can I help you? Or, do you need any help today? And basically when it is that persons respond to that, it comes into the HubSpot back portal. It can be linked to your email. So you get those email triggers and you're able to go ahead and respond right away, or post after the person sends their information. So you can have it trigger, you can have it set up where it says, do you need help today? Send your email and your phone number or something, at your name, email, phone number, something like that. And once you get that trigger, you can go and respond automatically right away, or you can afterwards connect with that person to be able to help them, right? So you have to think about that. Trademarks, patents, and copyrights. terms of service acceptance, orders and tracking numbers, yes, returns or refunds, logistics. Enough people don't think about that, by the way. Here, how you gonna have these people who return thing? What you gonna do? You gonna go pick it up from them? If them live in Mobile, your business in Kingston, how is that gonna work out? Right? You need to think about those things. Licenses and permits as well are things that you need to really think about. So I've mentioned them here, but we're not gonna dive into them there. But there are things I'm hoping that you wrote down and you can kind of follow and be able to go and do your research on your own. Some of the top SaaS platforms, e-commerce platforms, we know them: Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce. Most popular in this part of the Caribbean is Shopify and WooCommerce, right? And I won't get into which one is better because there's a lot of things you got to consider, but I'll say do your research. Both Shopify and WooCommerce are very, very good. Please take into consideration that if you have a current website, if people don't know this, if you have a website that exists right now, going to Shopify requires you to start from scratch, right? And for WooCommerce as well. Even though WooCommerce is a plugin, it requires a specific layout and a specific theme, which kind of requires you still have the content on your backend. It's not a full start from scratch kind of thing, but WooCommerce requires you to kind of build over some parts of your website. Yes, Figara is a new one as well. I've seen Figara. To be honest with you, I don't know the breakdown in terms of their model very well, and I do need to investigate it. I'll write it down for my homework in order to be able to just dig into just what they're all about and maybe probably try it for myself. So that is a case where, I can understand it a little bit more. But I have seen their ads and that kind of thing as well. But the most popular ones are indeed Shopify and WooCommerce. What I was saying about WooCommerce is that it does not require a full build up from scratch, but it does require some web development to be done. Shopify is a different if you have a WordPress website, is a totally different platform, so you require from scratch. All right, sweet. Thank you so much. I would appreciate that, Chandrise. If you share it with me, I will drop my email in the chat, so you can always, and this is for any of you that want to reach out to me, post this. Oops, I think I sent it to all right, let me just drop it here. All right, so would love if you can send any more information, Chandrise, to me regarding that. Let's talk about apps. Apps is some real personal to me, right? Because I'm in the business of apps right now. So what is an app? Really, it's a computer program that you can run on your mobile phone, your smartphone or your tablet, and it can run on other devices, right? So look at the, like Instagram, we kind of use Instagram on the website sometimes. But obviously it is an application. The app side is really the abbreviation of application, right? And so with the types of apps that we have native apps, mobile apps, web-based mobile apps, and we have hybrid apps. Essentially, a native app is an app it's an app that doesn't require web in order to be able to be used. So let me think of an example. Let's say your calculator, right? You don't need to have access to website, to like an internet connection in order to be able to use the calculator on your phone. That's a native app. A web-based app, no, you need to have access to a website in order to be able to have that connection. And then a hybrid app is obviously the mix of the two. So what are the various revenue models that you can have with apps? You have in-app advertising, so ads within the apps, right? You have in-app purchases. So let's say, for example, like an Amazon app, right? You can go in and you can make a purchase in there. You have data monetization. Essentially, your use of the app, you go sell their data, you sell their data and make money from it, aka Facebook, aka Instagram, aka any social media platform that they say is free, right? That's essentially what they do, is a data monetization model, right? They take your data, they go sell your data to marketers like me, and we utilize your data in order to be able to target to you, and they make money, right? If you thought social media, how many of you in here thought social media was free? If you thought social media was free, I was supposed to actually ask the question before I told the answer. But if you tell me, just be honest, just be real with me. Did you think social media was free? Did you honestly think like it was really free? Drop me a note in the comment, turn on your mic and tell me if you really thought, if you still are convinced that it is free. Chandri says free for us. What that mean, Chandri? That mean free for us. Amanda says she thought so. Okay. You thought it was free for us social users. Okay. Anybody else thought social media was free? Felicia said, nope, it's a big capitalist business arena. You're damn right about that, Felicia. Right? Guys, social media is not free. It's a simple money transaction. You sell your data, they give you access to the platform. It's a very simple monetary transaction, right? So, I mean, if you thought social media is free, there's nothing free in life. You know, your mother always tells you that there's nothing free in life. It's a true story, right? Social media is not free at all. You're basically selling your data for them to be able to sell. You're giving your data, technically selling it, for them to be able to use your data to be able to make more money from your data. And that's how it is you're able to use the platform free. So there's that. There's donations as well, right? Which is not very popular. Affiliate marketing and lead generation, but no, you have to have an app that has a significantly high volume of traffic in order to be able to consider that model. Yes, Kimon. That's how they're able to do targeted ads. That's exactly. Anybody remembers Facebook back in like 2008, 2009? Right? I think that's when I joined Facebook. It was a completely different experience, and they had not started their monetization breakout as yet in terms of their revenue model. And because of that, now we can get into that next week. Let me not go down that line, guys. Let me not go down that line. You're pulling it out of me, and I go get so excited. I'm just gonna unleash it, and you're not ready for it yet. So we're gonna get into that next week. SMS and email marketing is also another app revenue model. Not so popular, but basically it's there. Sponsorships is also one, and paid apps, right? We know about paid apps where you have to go, actually pay money with a $5, $10, $2, $1.99 in order to be able to actually buy the app in the app store. So for some of you, you may be considering, an app for your business, right? And these are some of the revenue models you have to go through. I'm not delving into apps in a big way. So if you feel as though you want more understanding about apps, let me know, right? Drop me a hit in the comments, and let's see if it can work into next week. Next week's a tight schedule though, but let's see if it can work into next week. So let's talk about brand a little bit. We're going to talk about brand because brand is critical. So we remember our whole spectrum, right? And the focus really on what we would have done, everything just now was really zooming in. And thanks to that, Shauna, I see you. Zooming in and kind of looking at the website and the app, which is the core. So now we're going to move to the tentacles, right? Which is really how you're bringing people back into the website or the app. So things to consider with your brand, right? Symbols, marks, logos, names, words, right? These are the things that your company is going to use to distinguish their product from others. Be very clear on your brand. Have a brand guideline. You may think brand guideline. It's not only big companies have that thing. No. You have a brand guideline for your company, no matter how small it is, right? No matter how new your company is, you need to be able to have a brand guideline, right? Even simple things like colors, right? Even simple things like preferred fonts, logo, how your logo can be used, how it's not to be used, right? Sit down and break out what your brand is all about, right? What kind of tone you want for your brand? What kind of voice? What are the things and the messages that you want to be coming out from your brand? Be very clear on your brand, guys. All right. And note that a brand has a personality, a tone, a voice, and a visual identity. two examples I always pick. One, they've changed now, but anybody remember Grace's social media personality or tone, like about 3 years ago or backwards? Anybody remembers what it was like? It was very stiff and corporate, and like, you see how my face is? Like, you expect somebody like that to talk like that when it is that you hear them, like when you see the visuals and everything. Because what they were doing, they were taking everything that they were using above the line, so radio, TV, etc., and they were just taking it and putting it on social media. And that's not how social media works, right? You can't just take everything from what you do, on a big level, and this is where a lot of SMEs make a lot of mistakes, right? So because the money is constrained, right, you think that if you do one little video and the video was like for a bigger audience, say you do a show and the video was for a show, you take it and drop it on your social media. Same way. No, it don't work like that, right? And so Grace kind of had that approach, and they were very, very stiff before. So you find that Grace online was stiff and corporate, and then Grace offline was family and fun and food. It was a totally like two. It was like Jekyll and Hyde, right? So you have to think about that. Anybody has experience the brand personality and tone and voice of what his name? Oh, sorry, I'm having a brain freeze. The brand in the States with the my brain literally froze just now. Like the brand is there. It's gonna come back to me though. But they basically have, a very sarcastic kind of brand personality, and it's a case where they're always like, they would make snide comments, but it's never too far. It's always like in a joke kind of way, and I'm just trying to it just was on the tip of my tongue and I lost it, but it's gonna come back to me. It's gonna come back to me, guys. And when when it comes back to me, you're gonna be like, oh, those persons. But essentially, they have, kind of broken that wheel of how it is that we view social media, because we always think social media should be fun and the personality needs to be fun and helpful and that kind of thing. And they've kind of like set that bones to say it doesn't always need to be fun. It can be fun and like, very snide and fun and sarcastic and still be tasteful in a way that, it reflects a particular personality or tone, and it is not violating anyone, but people love it same way. All right. So think about that on your brand. Be clear on your brand characteristics. Very, very clear. We're going to dive into these personas soon, but you need to be very clear on the personas that you are targeting, right? With your business. Who's the target segments that you are going after? And you want to drive them through the funnel. Sound off in the chat and let me know if you know anything about the marketing funnel, right? If you're accustomed to it, if you understand the marketing funnel, and let me know. But I want to guide you through it really quickly. Essentially, think of, your usual funnel. Big at the top, small at the bottom. The whole concept is you are going to have persons that are going to have no clue about your brand. And they're going to move through the steps of being aware about your brand. They're going to move through the steps of having interest in your brand, a desire to be able to purchase something from your brand. And then they're going to take action by making a purchase of a product or a service. And then that's how it's going to end. Now, what are the customers that you have at this point? So you have, initially you're starting out with a target audience. Please note, not a population. A difference between a population and a target audience. A target audience are the people at the end of the day that you think that could benefit from your product or service, right? This is not the population. So let's say, for example, right? Let me take I'm gonna try use a different business model from before. Let's use let's use the farm store, right? So you can't use the population of Kingston as your target segment because most of we in a Kingston, we don't have nowhere to put farm, right? We don't have anywhere to put the farm. We don't have a farm, right? So a farm store target segment cannot be Kingston. It cannot even be Clarendon. It cannot be Mobile. It cannot be any of those because that's a population, right? But if you were to zoom in now on farmers, right? Now you're getting into, what could be your potential target audience, or people that own farms, or people that, even if they don't own it, people that work on farms, that could be part of your target audience. Then once they become aware about your particular farm store, they become like a suspect. We don't really use the word suspect very popular, but they become a suspect. Once they've gained interest in your product or service, so say for example, they say, boy, I really need some seeds, like some really nice seeds. It's hard to find cucumber and cucumber seeds and lettuce seeds that really are able to give me the nice blooms and kind of fight off the pests. So they're now, interested, right? Because they become aware, they're now a suspect, and they become interested because they've seen your social media content, or they've heard about your brand from another farmer, right? Or they've heard something about you. Maybe you have, you do a one session on TVJ, or you did a one session on the radio, one interview, and they heard about you. So now I want you to understand that the customer moves to the point of becoming a lead when they give you something to say that they're interested. So after they heard about you, they went on your website, or they went on your social media page, or whatever it is, and they sent in their email address, or they say they want to find out information. So contact them. They give a phone number. You cannot have a customer that is a lead if it is a case where they have not given you something. A lead, the whole point of a lead, right, is they have to give you something to say, I am interested. Now, after that, they're going to move to the desire phase. And in the desire phase, they're going to say, well, I really want to buy them seed there, but they see them there because I have to plant out like the whole of this acre in a this and whatever. And they say, geez, it was a whole heap of money, So they have the desire, and they've moved to the desire phase because they're now asking about the type of lettuce that it's going to bring, and they're asking all of these different things, and the type of crop, and it's going to have, and the yield, and all of these things they're asking. And so down there at the desire stage, and they become a prospect, right? Because they now have moved and have a very high interest in purchasing these things, but them just not come up with the money just yet, right? So them ready. Now, after that being a prospect, you are going to seek to give them more information now to get them to act. You're going to say, boy, so we can do a payment plan. So you pay money today, you come back next month, you pay next money. And by the time you're ready to plant, in the third month, you can get the seed them, and you just pay the money there, right? And you don't pay off for the seed them, right? So it's a case where you can go to them and you give them something, additional information that is going to drive them through this funnel to take action and now buy the seeds that they want from the farm store and become a customer. So I want you to see that the whole point of this really is to be able to give the customer more information to help guide them through the buyer journey more and more and more in order to make them customers. All right. Hold up a mouthful. I'm going to pause right now and take in any questions at all. Any questions? All right, we're going to take just a 2-minute break at this point. Gonna get me a little water, and I'm hoping that you can, grab a little snack or something of that. And then we're going to come back in 2 minutes, not a long time, in order to be able to continue the conversation that we're having. So 2 minutes, and we are going to be back in 2 minutes time. All right, so it's 12:08 now, and we'll be back at 12:10. Yes, Anthony, go put the peas on. It's very important. I'm going to go check my beef as well. All right, be back in 2 minutes. All righty, I am hoping that we are back. Thanks for that interlude, Dwayne. Well, let me reshare my screen with you. Anything that is a little muddy, anyone? All right, not seeing any. So I'm going to keep going. And I want us to touch on search engine. I want us to touch on search marketing. All right, so I'm hoping that you're back and ready to go. All right. Sorry about that. Let me just really quickly resume my video so you can see me, right? All right. So how search engines work? Let's talk a little bit about how they work. Search engines have three primary functions: crawl, index, and rank. Crawling is where they go through the internet, they look for content, they look over the code, our content. All right, Sean, I see that you're back with me. Excellent. They look over the code or the content for each of the URLs. So say, for example, you had www.anthony.com, right? It's a case where they will go over there, they're going to look for what's content that is there, right, on Anthony, and they're going to just kind of go through every single page, right, that you have on Anthony.com, every single page. Indexing is where they're going to then store and organize all of that information on Anthony.com during the crawl process. And they're going to basically, imagine you have a book, right? And you have bookmarks in your book, right? Or let me give you a better example. You have a contents page, right? So like you have the contents page at the beginning of the book, but it's like a quick summary to say, yo, these things are on this page. So all you have to do is go to that page to get more detailed information. That's kind of how the indexing works, where once a page is going to be indexed, so it's going to be put in the content section of the book, and it's in it is once a page is in the index, it's in the running to be displayed on a search engine page once there's a relevant query, right? So once it is that anyone searches, there's the opportunity for that to then be displayed once it is a case where the indexing happens. Now, enough people come and say, boy, just get one website and can't understand. 3 weeks now, I have the website and I can't see nothing come up on Google at all. That's because the indexing hasn't happened. And unless you trigger that indexing to happen, right, it's not going to happen it's not going to happen until 3 to 6 months. And that's the truth. So regularly, all of these bots, right, they go through the whole of the internet, the websites on the world, and they go through, and every 3 to 6 months they go through every single website, all the billions of websites out there. They go through every single one every 3 to 6 months, and they create these indexes. So what you think is that when you're searching on Google, you're not searching to go to the actual website. Remember our content or website from like slide 1? We're not going to like the actual content to pull the file. What we're doing is that we're looking just on the index to see, okay, does this particular, look on the contents page, right, the beginning of the book, and say, all right, this website has this particular thing and that particular thing and that particular page. We're looking on that index to see what is the information that is there. So when Google puts it, and that's how it is, they're able to make, when you search, make your results come back so fast. If they were to go through every single website on the whole of the web, right, it'll take ages for your search query to come back to you. Right, so it's a case where the indexing allows them to create these bookmarks or these content pages, which is really like a very like quick note to say, you know, this website has these pages on it, boom, boom, boom. So that when they're searching now, they're only searching that index and they're not actually going to search the, you know, the actual details of the website. But when they're doing the index, you know, they take a note of a couple of things. And one of the things, of course, is what is that page, each page on your website, what does each page really talk about? And so that's why it's important to include keywords, prominent keywords on your website related to whatever your page is about. So if it is a case where you have the cleaning service, right? You want to be able to have a page on your website that speaks to the benefits. Let's say there is some, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something in cleaning. Let's say you have a page that talks about bleach versus the disinfectant, right? You want to be able to kind of go through and have keywords associated with the bleach and the disinfectant and all of that. So it gives the bot the idea of whatever it is are the you know, this is the content, this is the keywords associated with that particular page. So it's the index that you search when you search on a search engine. It's not the actual website. That's the essence I want you to get. And so if it is you have a new website, chances are you haven't been indexed as yet. And so as a result, it is a case where you're not going to appear. The same thing happens when it is you've changed stuff on your website and you realize that it's still the old stuff when you Google things. It's because the index hasn't been changed, and there's some ways to reboot and get it indexed faster, which is like you doing a search engine marketing campaign and that kind of thing. But the indexing is part 2, and then the ranking, right? So the search engine provides the piece of the content that will best answer a search query, which means that results are ordered by the most relevant to the least relevant. All right. So rank 1 is most relevant, and there are 200 and odd factors that Google assesses when it is that they're putting up whatever is on their search engine results page, right? So you have to certainly, they're assessing all these things to basically give the user what is the most relevant page to them. In terms of SEO versus SEM, right? Search engine marketing versus search engine optimization. We've been through this before. Search engine marketing refers to paid search marketing, right? Search engine optimization is different because businesses earn a free spot in the search results by having the most relevant content for a given keyword or search. All of this is based on keywords, all right? So with search engine marketing, this is a case where when you pay, right, the advertiser pays, they're going to show the ads in the search results. And I'm not even going to waste no time. I'm going to just show you quick and fast what we're talking about here when it comes to this. So classic example I always include is, and this is because they always have ads, right? Car Insurance Jamaica. Let me see. I'm not seeing no ads for Car Insurance Jamaica. This is interesting. Okay. Let me try a different query. Let's do this query. See if I see, see we see some ads now. All right, cool. So let me close all of these things. These, right? What's the difference between this and these down here? Not much. A couple of things, but essentially the same concept. The only difference really is this add button. So this here is actually search engine marketing, right? And down here is just the regular results, right? So the question is, how do you get at the top of here? How do you get at the top of here search engine marketing? How do you get at the top of down here, right? You get at the top of down here by search engine optimization. In between is this thing called a knowledge graph, and a knowledge graph can take different forms. In this case, we're seeing Google Map results in the knowledge graph. If you Google movies, you'll probably see something different. All of it is just one big space in knowledge graph, and it can vary in terms of what Google chooses to put in a knowledge graph. Gavin said, oh, yes, Gavin.
Yep.
It makes sense now. It's coming together, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, good. So when it is a case where you want to reach customers, right? And I before I get there, I always paint the impression, I give the example of SEO, which is getting to the top of here, which is what we call the organic results. Organic because you don't pay for it, right? So you have the organic results here, right, for the search engine page, and you have the paid results up here, which is denoted by the ad, right? Obviously, people paying, right, directly to Google to be up here, they must appear first, right? But whether or not you appear first out of all the people that are paying is a whole different kettle of fish, right? I mean, not going to dive into that kettle of fish today because that in and of itself is our next like 2 classes in and of itself. So we're not going to dive into that. But I want you to understand that you can pay to be up here, right? And at the same time, down here, you can work to be here. So I always paint the scenario of, you know, being a part of the doing search engine marketing is like playing lotto. And because you play lotto, you win quick and you can build a house, right? And search engine optimization is kind of like you work hard for your money and you save your money and a couple of years and eventually you build a house. Why? Because you can pay today and you can be on the top up here today, right? But obviously once the money run out, you know what happens? You're removed. Now, in terms of the organic results here, once you do search engine optimization, or you try to optimize your website using search engine optimization over time, it's a much more lasting effect. However, search engine optimization efforts take time. Sometimes, I've seen several instances where a business, they're working with, a search engine optimist expert and they don't see results until 6 months to a year. And by the way, if you see results in 6 months to a year with a search engine optimization expert, that is a really good expert, right? Search engine optimization takes time. So that's why you find there's usually not a great variability. Once you have the same search query and the same parameters and you're searching from the same browser at the same time, which you never are. So once all things are considered, are equaled, are the same, technically, once you do the same search, you should get back the same thing over time, unless there are changes in here. And these changes, as I said, they take 6 months to effect roughly in terms of changes in who's ranking first when it comes to search engine optimization. When it comes to search engine marketing, now this is quick fire. Go play lotto tomorrow, win tomorrow, right? Or today, right? So you just need to be willing to pay, right? Whatever is the asking rate, whatever is the bid, and you can actually appear on the top tomorrow or today, right? But of course, when the money done, you get sent home. So then your ad would come down. All right, so I'm hoping everybody got that concept. And that's really the difference between SEM versus SEO. So we've been through all of this in terms of what we've gone through. And let's dive into search engine optimization. It's the practice of increasing both the quality and the quantity of website traffic, as well as exposure to your brand through non-paid search engine results. So in other words, it is about sending more people and more relevant people to your website, right? Through non-paid, right? Non-paid search engine results. So like our Active Home Center now, once you click, you're obviously going to their website, right? And so naturally, once it is that Google sees your website as more relevant to whatever persons are searching for, it means at the end of the day that there is a higher likelihood that those persons are looking to either engage or research or buy your product or service. So it makes the quality of the traffic better because it means that these buyers are more they're more relevant to what you have on your website. Yeah. So it's a process really of optimizing a website so that you get the best ranking in the organic results. That's really what it's about. And it requires an understanding of how search engines work and what people search for and why and how people search. Davia, you say I'm hearing. Okay. Okay. So Kimon says she's not hearing. Kimon, log in and log back out. Log back out and log in. Right? So Desmond says, so SEM don't make sense. Desmond, nope, that's not true. SEM make only percent. Why? Because the majority of our websites, we're not even on page 2. We're not even on page 3, right? So our hopes of getting into page 1 of the organic results is just slim. That's for 1. 2, I've always said to people, and I've seen it work time and time again for businesses, even right here. So, right. So I'm not going to tell you which businesses, but I have worked with some of the businesses even listed here. I'm going to tell you, I've seen it time and time happen for them where they do search engine optimization to help to improve their website. And they also at the same time do search engine marketing, right? And the two create a synergistic effect, right? So it's a case where even though, let's say, for example, active is at the top now, right? That's not going to stop them from running ads, because it means that once you come on and you search for Tiles Jamaica, you're going to see active here. You're going to come back and see active here in the knowledge graph. And then you're going to come back and see active here in the organic results. What do you think the people are going to do? If you increase the likelihood of them clicking on active and seeing active, what do you think they're going to do? Click on active, right? So there is great benefit to SEM, not only if it is that you are ranking at the top of the organic results, but it's also highly relevant for the people that are not even on the first page of the organic results, because it means that you're so much organic. SEO takes time, guys. It's time. It's a whole heap of time and a whole heap of work consistently. And that's why it is sometimes hard to justify SEO budgets at a managerial, at a SMT stage, right? Because they want to see results like tomorrow, right? And sometimes SEO results, they take time to manifest. So while you're working on getting your SEO and getting your website, increasing the ranking, right? You want to, at the same point in time, you have business to do now. Your business needs to make money now, right? So that's where the SEM comes in, because the SEM is going to make it relevant where you are able to get traffic going to your website right now, today, right? That's how the SEM comes in.
So are you saying that it will so is it okay? I pay this money for the SEM. Is it going to be running for a period of time, or is it just my luck about getting on into there?
No, we're gonna get into it a little bit, but I'm gonna try to answer your question as simply as possible before we get into it. With SEM, it is a case where you are there's a system of how you do it, right? And how Google does it, rather. And it's not just Google that offer SEM ads, by the way, but there's a system, and it's based off of a couple of factors, such as the quality score, which is basically, the whole user experience on your website, blah, blah, blah. And how relevant the content is on your website to whatever the people are searching for. They consider things like that. They consider your bid. So naturally, if it's a case where they're saying that they bid in order to be at the number 1 spot, right? With Tiles Jamaica, they're saying you need to bid. So they're saying that you need to bid 80 cents, right? Which in Jamaica, the average, not the same for all keywords, but the average is in between 80 cents to $1 right now. So if they're saying that you need to bid 80 cents, right? In order to be here, and you say, all right, I'm willing to bid the 80 cents, or I'm even willing to bid the $1, you can get up to here. But It doesn't mean because if you're willing to bid $5, I see your hand, Chandrisa, coming. It doesn't mean that if you're willing to build $5, that it's going to get you further up than anybody else. No, because Google doesn't really care. That them care. They want you to pay, but they don't really care how much you pay to an extent, because it really comes down to how they want the best user experience for people. So if hardware and lumber they think it's going to give the person searching for Tiles Jamaica a better website experience, or a better experience in finding what they're looking for, right? They're going to prioritize that, and that's where the quality score comes in. So I don't want to go too deep, but there are quite a few factors that they assess, but it's more than just budget and bidding, and it's certainly not random any at all. Chandris, you had your hand up? Chandris? You had a question? All right. So Desmond, when I finish go through SEM, if you still don't understand, you come and let me know, and we dissect it a little more. All right. But I don't want to go too deep, because I don't want to make it complicated. And I won't lie to you, SEM can get real complicated real quick and fast. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So back to SEO. So SEO at the end of the day requires an understanding of how search engines work, and successful SEO makes a site appealing to users and search engines. So remember, Google is in a business of serving their customers, guys. So they want to give their customers the best website experience so when you come on and you search for something, they want that the first thing you click on, you get your answer and you have the best experience. So they're going to prioritize sites that they think are going to give the people the best experience, regardless of whatever it is. That's the whole point of search engines. So Mars, who is a authority in the SEO world, they have broken down this 3-step process for SEO, and it's really the one that I kind of use. You have on-site optimization, technical SEO, link building, and establishing authority. And then, of course, you measure, prioritize, and execute SEO. So on page is really anything that you're going to do on the page of your website itself in terms of the content or anything in order to improve your search engine ranking and visibility. So for example, enough things that people don't consider, right? Things like your picture, right? The pictures on your website. And we're gonna see that I can actually go into it now. So let's make it real. All right, so we're on West Elm, right? And West Elm has this picture on their website here, right? There's an alt tab or alt tag associated with this website. Alt text, alt tag associated with this website, right? And basically what it does is that it describes what this picture is about. So I want you to understand that bots, right, that index your website on that, they can't read video and them can't read images, right? It come in like them can only read words, right? They can't read it, they can't see images, and they can't read video, see videos. So anything that needs to be, search engines is all about bots. And so anything that you need to be able to index for your website or to be considered in the indexation of your website to basically help to, improve your ranking, you need it to be in such a way that it is a written form. So that's the reason why even when you have YouTube videos, you have tags, right? And you put a bunch of things in the tags and all of that, because that's really what it is. What we're going to see, Kimo, we're going to see, but yes, that's the alt text coming up, right? So the alt text, really and truly, what it is text that describes the image. So in this case, it might say outdoor luxury home with green plant and, white outdoor chairs in oak texture or whatever it is. That's really what the alt text is going to say. But what a lot of us do is that we completely ignore the alt text. We don't have no alt text, none at all. or all we do is that we put outdoor for the alt text. So when the bots see this image, all they see is outdoor. Then I see nothing that I go on there. So all they see is outdoor, right? And outdoor don't really say nothing much, right? So things like the alt text help a lot, right? In adding other content to your website outside of the words on your website to really help to improve your search engine ranking, because it's going to help to improve your indexing. Yeah. Now, there's something else called, and I kind of all over the place, but I'm going to come back to like the on page versus technical and whatever, but I'm trying to show some things to make it real for you guys. So it don't seem like this very abstract thing. I'm like, what is girl really say? All right. So we'll come back to on page now. We'll talk about the content on the page. The content, when we talk about content, you know, it's all about the verbiage, right? Everything. So let's go on to, I was like going to Forbes. Go away. Let me go on to Forbes. All right, Forbes. Nice. So all of this, let me just randomly click on a random article here. Forbes is, there's always a lot of nice ads on Forbes to give examples. So all of this here is content. Any words that you see here is content. Any images you see is content. Any videos is content. So when you're talking about on-page SEO, you really want to be able to improve, you know, the content that is on the page. And when you say improve it, you're like, you have to think like how search engine, like the bots thing. Imagine you were a bot, right? You want to, in your content, include keywords that are specific to that specific page. So let's say this page is talking about Connecticut spares 110,000 COVID-19 telecommuters from double taxation for 2020, but what about 2021? You actually want to be able to use words like taxpayer, and not just the obvious ones. If you look through, this content is littered with it. Court to hear a case on the Supreme Court to hear a case on the state taxation, Connecticut tax return for income taxes. And it needs to be like, back in the day, people would like have like a page that wasn't visible, and they would, with a page that wasn't visible, they would have like littered with a bunch of keywords, and that is what we call black hat SEO. It don't work again, and Google is going to penalize you for it, so you don't want to do it. You want to have keywords that are incorporated in your content, in what you're saying on your website, that really help to kind of pinpoint what the page is about. Yeah. So the content on the page is a big deal, right? And I just want you to take note of these, right? I went on to Michael Kors last night, just the I1 shoe, and we're going to come back to this a little further, but I want you to see it, right? As it's happening. So if you see Michael Kors ads following me, you know why. Excuse me. And so the content of the page, right, is really one of the big things that really can help to improve your SEO and how are you ranking. So a lot of small businesses, I'll see the mistakes that they make. A lot of small businesses, one of the big mistakes they make is that the content that is on their website is not, them have like 200 words, right? I'm being honest with you. They barely have content on the page, and it's not relevant, and there's no alt text. What about title tags and the URL? When we talk about the title tag, we're actually talking about, all right, let me show you. Let's look at this page over here. Oh, come on, switch. The title tag is actually what shows up here when I'm off the page. So this one says Connecticut spares 110,000 from whatever. This one says Tiles Jamaica. This one is West Elm Modern Furniture, Home Decor, Lighting, and more. Those things are things you want to adjust. Your URL, what is your URL, saying? These are so many things that, with your URL, you want to match the content, right? So 2021 0304, which was when actually Bailing wrote this article, Connecticut Spears 100 whatever, that is the URL. It makes it very easy for the bots to understand, and it helps to improve your ranking. All right. And I'm saying all these things, guys, because there's simple actions that you can do on your own, right? It's not always the big things with SEO, right? So meta description, a lot of people don't know that you can change the meta description when it comes to a particular, for every single page on your website. I've seen it time and time again, and it burned me, you see, when it is that I see persons, I see businesses, then take the same meta description and they put it on every page on the website. Like, it hurt my heart, right? That's the worst thing you could possibly do, because your meta description is basically a summary of what your page is about. So everything that you actually read on a search, not everything, but the main things that you read on a search engine results page, it's actually the meta description. The meta description is this thing in the black, right? This is a good thing in the black here. This thing in the black. Right? These are the meta descriptions here, guys. And as you can see, they're very lacking for a lot of our Jamaica companies. They're very lacking. The most of them have is that, look at Hardware and Lumber. Hardware and Lumber is Jamaica's leading construction, agriculture, and home improvement destination. Would that tell me about flooring? That would tell me nothing about flooring. Right? So when it is you come now and you're looking at you're searching for flooring, or you're looking for tiles, and the only thing you see is Hardware and Lumber is Jamaica's leading construction, agriculture, and home improvement destination, how is that supposed to convince you to go to this particular page for tiles? Somebody can tell me, right? I want you to understand, guys, that these are the simple mistakes that really affect how your website is ranking. And these are the things at the end of the day that you can make big strides on, because so many people out there are doing terrible things when it comes to their SEO. All right. So you want to be able to change these meta descriptions, right? Which you can on the back end of your website. Simple, easy thing, right? You can do it yourself if you know what you're doing. And you want to change these meta descriptions so that every single page on your website, if you're talking about Connecticut and the COVID cuts or whatever it is, the taxation, whatever, you want the meta description to focus on that. If you're talking about tiles in Jamaica and you have a specific tile page on your website, right? You want the meta description to talk about the porcelain, the ceramic, all the various types of tiles that you have. Of course, you're limited in how much words you have, right? Because there's a limitation to the amount of characters here, but you want to maximize those characters in order to be able to convince people when they come onto a search engine results page to click and go to your website. Am I making any sense? If it is that you have questions, tell me no, please, before I move on. Clear? All right. So I've listed some things here for your SEO elements to consider. Some of the simple things like page URLs, whether your website is mobile responsive or not, site speed, title tag, those kind of things that you can affect and change as an entrepreneur. Is not big things that are saying to you, right? So these are the things that can help you rank better when it comes to search engines. And page content really is really the heart of it, right? And when you're looking at page content, you have to think about keywords and how keywords really, what keywords are you incorporating in your content? Sorry about that. All right, so let's look at search engine marketing. It is the practice of marketing a business using paid ads that appear on search engine results pages. Okay, and it's also known as pay-per-click, which we've seen already. And we've seen already the, you know, the example of how you differentiate it from the organic results. All right, with the little add button that is here. So how it works is that in order to place SEM ads, you can't just pay more, right? To ensure that the ads appear more prominently than your competitors' ads. There's this thing called an ad auction. So the same way how an auction functions is the same thing. An ad auction is an entirely automated process that search engines use to determine the relevance and the validity of ads that appear on their SERPs. So imagine it's like you going to an auction, but it's not that they're not only considering money, you know. So let's say you're going to auction for a car. People are not just considering how much money you have, you know, people considering how you're going to take, you know, good care of the car afterwards, whether you have a reputation of taking good care of the car afterwards, whether or not, you know, like, you know, because people don't want to sell their car to you if at the end of the day you will make the car dry rot and go to and just become like dead, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of the same thing with Google. They're not going to go to you if you don't have a track record of when people go to your website, them not bouncing back to their page right away, which is basically saying to them they never found what they wanted on your website. Right. So when it is that people bounce back, they click on and go to your website and then bounce back real quick, it's Google's like, oh, well, these people did not find what they want. Right. I have something that I'll send out to you. I'll send it to Dwayne and the team, and they're going to send out to you in terms of a summary so that you can have, right? And that's okay, Chandris, if you don't have all of the notes. I have that for you, and I have a little more to complete, but I should have it. You'll have it by tomorrow. Excuse me, please. So the ad auction really is an entirely automated process that search engines use to determine the relevance and validity of the ads. And it's a case where every time that an ad spot is available, right, there is an auction that is done for the specific keyword. So there's a combination of multiple factors, including the bid amount, the relevance of the landing page, and the quality of the ad. So you were asking before, sorry, I'm trying to find him back in here. Desmond, you were asking before about, you know, kind of how it works, right? This is how it works. So they take into consideration the bid amount, the relevance of your landing page, so the relevance of your website, wherever people landing, once they click, wherever they're going right after that, and the quality of your ad. So I want to zoom in, like I was looking at this H&L ad, and this is like very good quality. Why? They have the links here, they have phone number here, and these are some of the things that you can like add on to your ad and that kind of thing. They have the ad nicely described here of what it is. You know, we have, so farm tools and equipment essentials, your work is only as good as your tools, the widest selection of paints with a more blah blah. Need tiles, we have it, tiles and more. The only thing that I would say in relation to tiles, it could have had an ad that spoke a little more specific to tiles, but that's okay, right? Compared to this from Creative Building Finishes, which is, I mean, it's just a headline and a phone number, really, right? Because what does this tell me for ceramic mosaic? Would that tell me? That not tell me nothing, right? So this is a pretty good ad, to be honest with you, and it also has a location link and all of these things. In terms of just how you can access them and find them. So I want you to understand all those things they take into consideration, right? To decide who's the winner of the auction and who appears at the top and who appears at the bottom. Because guess what? This is page 1. These ads can continue on page 2. See, right? All active on page 2 with them ads. Brass tile on page 2, right? Creative have the next ad on page 2 and H&L as well. Page 3, page 4, we can keep going. Watch Floor and Decor. Floor and Decor, who's seeing their ad on page 3? Nobody. Why? They need to improve the ad experience and they need to improve the quality score to get them to page 1. So these are things you need to consider. So all Floor and Tile, they're paying, you know, they're paying for their ad to be visible, but nobody's seeing their ad. Nobody's seeing their ad and nobody's clicking on their ad. So all of these things you need to take into consideration. The goal of a PPC ad is to lead a person viewing it, right? To click through to the website where that visitor can complete a valuable action such as purchasing a product. All right. So the top publishers and platforms, obviously we know Google and Bing, right? They offer advertising services, and Google really is the #1 publisher when we think about it. And I want you to understand this particularly because I have heard entrepreneurs time and time again say, no man, SEM too expensive for me. I can't afford SEM. But what I don't understand is that it depends on your business. You see, if it is that when you go to an expert that can help you, right? And there are quite a few agencies out there that can help you with the SEM. But if you go to them and you see where there's a high volume of people searching online, right? And you are able, like I remember one time I was in a past job, I was consulting with I couldn't even tell you the name of the type of neurosurgery that the guy do. But apparently it was a very complex, some big name neurosurgery, very complex. And we were able to direct customers to him, right? From across the Caribbean. Because based on the search data, people think, oh, that's specific, such a niche, people not searching for that. And when we looked, people were searching for it and people were in desperate help, right? To find that particular expertise in the Caribbean. And what we were able to do is we were able to have SEM ads for him and direct people to him. And he got so much business out of it. Because imagine one of those people, these are people that based on their condition, they would have been willing to fly to Jamaica, right? Just to get him to consult with, to help them with their condition. Yeah. So you can't say that SEM, may not work for you. You have to first do the search, do the keyword research, right? Google Keyword Planner is a good one, but in order to gain access to Google Keyword Planner, it's a little complicated. But if you've run any ads before, you can access it. So Google Keyword Planner, you can go in and do the research. And basically what the keyword research guides you to, and let me just go in real quick. I don't want to make this too complex, but I want you to understand it, because sometimes when you say something and some person seeing it, when you say something and some person seeing it, it's two different things oftentimes. And sorry, just give me 1 second. Let me stop sharing. All right, so I want you to understand that Keyword Planner, what it does is really, it is going to allow you to look and see what people historically have been searching for over the last 12 months. So you are able to actually see, for example, whether, excuse me, please, whether persons have been searching for, whatever it is, generally. So if it is a case where your farm store, you can see if persons have been searching for seeds. If it is a case where you're looking at something more detailed on the farm store, right? So you're able to see, for example, let me, 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Let me try to switch accounts really quickly. To get in. Sometimes it does give you a hitch in terms of getting in. All right, let me just go in and go to. I'm trying to get in, but it's proving to be a little more difficult than I planned. And so I might not be able to get in right now. To be able to show you, oh, I think I can get in now. All right, tools and settings, keyword planner, sweet. All right, so let me reshare my screen real quick. I know that we're approaching our end time. And we're gonna continue this next week. Excuse me, please. All right, you should be able to see my screen now. All right, sweet. So this is keyword planner, right? And I can go in, let's say for example, and I'm looking within Jamaica, right? So I pinpointed specifically Jamaica. You can choose whichever part of the world. I could zoom in, for example, on Kingston, right? Say for example, my store is in Kingston, Jamaica. Kingston Parish or Kingston City. Let's do Kingston City because the population is bigger. And let me close Jamaica country out of here. And let's say I'm looking for people that might be searching for lettuce seeds. We're gonna see. There may not be any results, but we're gonna see, right? So we see that the search volume is pretty low here. So they're only roughly on average in the last, and this is within the last 12 months, they're looking on what is the average amount of people searching. Guys, this is a powerful tool, okay? That everybody can access. You just need to get in to access it or set up an ad account with Google Ads in order to be able to access it. And all you do is come to tools and settings. And when you go tools and settings, you go keyword planner, right? This can help you even in terms of creating your content for your website, because naturally you want to create content based off of what people are searching for. What are the search terms that people are searching for? So I always give the example of Jamaica. People don't talk about eyewear. What is eyewear? Right? When people don't talk about eyewear, they talk about glasses, right? Those are the things that people talk about. Those are the search terms people search for, right? And you want to be able to incorporate that in your content. So as we see here, right, people searching for lettuce seeds is kind of low, yeah? And we could actually go ahead and refine it a little more. I lost my search just now. We could go ahead and they give you the option to refine it a little more, but it's pretty low, right? So, and that makes sense because naturally people don't go and search online to search for lettuce seeds, yeah? But if it's a case where, give me a suggestion, guys, in terms of, let me go back to my business chat to see what are the different businesses, and I'm trying to find one where people actually search quite a bit. All right, let's look for press-on nails. We gonna see. Still kind of low. All right. Let's look for.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Hair. Wig.
Hair's broad. No, hair is way too broad. You're gonna get way too many services. And the whole point, guys, is to be able to be specific enough, but not too specific, right? Where you don't have a search volume. Lace front wiz is a good one, right? And where it is that you are able to kind of pinpoint. Pardon? Go ahead, Chandris.
I'm sorry, I was just asking, where is this? This is what site? I've not seen
This is
it
Google.
before.
This is Google Ads. This is on Google Ads. So you have to set up an ad account before, and then you should be able to go in tools and settings. But they're setting up the ad account. It's kind of complicated if you've never run ads before. Google kind of, that's how Google stay, right? And that's the truth. That's honestly how them stay. But it's within Google Ads. So once you set up the ad account, you should be able to go into Google Ads and come to tools and settings, and then go to keyword planner. And this is where I'm in. And then guys, you can specify any country in the world, I think outside of North Korea, right? So outside of North Korea, You can specify any country, any city, anywhere in the world for your ads. And as we can see in Jamaica, we have, you know, quite a few. There is still pretty low, but there are quite a few persons that are searching. And the top of the page, right? The bid that Google is asking you to bid is $1.10. $1.10. And these are all of the things that people are searching for. These are the search terms that people are searching. This is not me put this in, you know. That's why this is so powerful, because this is telling you what people have been searching for. House cleaning services near me, maid services near me, deep cleaning house, move out cleaning, residential cleaning services. You want to know which arms of your business to develop and people want the most? Come here and look. Right? Professional house cleaning, house washing, right? Residential cleaning, house washing near me, house cleaning prices, home sanitization services, hire a maid. All of these things are what people in Jamaica have been searching for over the last 12 months. So zooming back here, I want you to understand, and that's why I was saying, you know, like generally, I wanted you to understand how it is that these, you know, these tools can really work to really help to, like, especially Keyword Planner. It helps more than just for building ads. If you don't want to build ads, even if you just want to be able to use the research of people, what people have been searching for in your industry or your area, you can use Keyword Planner for that. And I mean, ads are generally made up of like headline, URL, description, and there are a whole bunch of ads that are there. And there are a couple of SEM elements to consider, like the keywords, the cost per click, the click-through rate, the budgets and the bids, and the targeting. But I'm not going to make it more complex by going through cost per click and click-through rates today. But I put some tips here in terms of the steps of building your keyword list and just how to kind of start building that list, because these are the zooming keywords that you want to be reflected in your website. You want to be reflected in just everything that you do for your business on social media elsewise. So I'm going to skip these cost per click and click-through rates. Really quickly, I'm going to end in the next 2 minutes. Display advertising, we've seen this, right? So we went on to Forbes just now and we saw like a bunch of ads, right? I showed you the Michael Kors ad. I don't know why these people are showing these things to me. Maybe they're telling me something about my belly, but the fact of the matter is, you know, QuickBooks, I can see why they're advertising to me. Active Phone Center, really love them. I go on their website quite a bit. So they're coming back and they're retargeting me and they're advertising to me here, right? These are, whether it's a video, whether it is a Bluehost as well. I use Bluehost for my website platform, so I can understand why they're retargeting me. So whether it's a video, whether it's an image, that's an example of display. And I've just put some, you know, display can exist across, you know, a website in terms of like leaderboard ads and those kind of things. YouTube has display ads as well. We see them all the time. And so we'll go through that next week, and mobile phones have display ads as well. All right. So we are at the tip of social media, right? And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually share the social media introduction stuff with you for homework to kind of go through on your own, so that when we're coming back, we've already had a start on social media and why is it important and the types of social media. And so we would be able to then, once we've understood things like image sharing, social networking, community blogs, we're going to be able to then go into the social media activities and the specific social media platforms. So next week, really the zoom in is on a little bit of email marketing, but a whole bunch of social media, right? So let's talk a little bit about homework. And I didn't set the homework because I wanted to kind of see where we did reach with this session. Particularly because, you know, I wanted to let this be a session where it is guided by your understanding and your just how much you in and of yourself, you are able to we're able to get through. And I think we did a pretty good job because we got through a real chunk of information in the session today. And I'm hoping that, some of these things you might be like, so what's the point of all of this information? But this information at the end of the day is critical for you to be able to understand where you're going. And I want you to do a couple of things for homework. And I'm going to send this in an email alongside sending out just like a quick summary of what we've been through today. I'm going to ask you guys not to share my slides with anyone, not because they're personal, but because it's an amalgamation of information that I've taken from various sources. And I have no right outside of education purposes in order to be able to share to people that information and content, right? So I don't want to catch myself up in any copyrighted information. So if it's a case where you want to just use them for your own personal businesses, sure. But I'm going to ask you just not to share them with other persons, because I would be then violating, any copyright, limitations that are there, any licensing informations that are there, right? And I don't want to do that in any way, right? And this deck, believe it or not, is an amalgamation of a whole heap of things. And so, of course, I can cite the sources and all of that. But I'm just gonna ask you guys, whatever I share with you, just don't share it to a wider audience, because I don't have the right to share the people that copyright information. All right. So we've taken you through a couple of things for today, right? And one of the things that I am going to let me go back to sharing my screen. One of the things there are two things that I want you to do for homework, right? One of them is going to be a forward, right? And we're going to go through these things during our next session when we have, but also one of them is retro. I want you to go through, and I want you to come all the way back. We've been through a lot of information today. I want you to come all the way back to this wheel. And I want you, for your particular business, to be able to go through and pick off which of these are most relevant to your business and which you want to tackle within the next 6 months to a year, right? You can keep it at 6 months if you want to. I just want you to pick off which of these that, based on what we've gone through today, which of these that you want to pick off and you want to tackle. And I want you to set down some goals in terms of what you want to achieve for these areas in terms of your business. All right. So that's part one of homework. I want you to sit down and set some goals. So if it's a case for display, that's something that you think you want to look into, sure. If it's SEM you want to look into, sure. Just sit down and set some goals and kind of understand, if this is something you want to do. SEO, you want to set some goals, sure. If you feel as though you don't have any money to spend on anything, there's still many things you can do, like SEO, email marketing, social media. No money required, zero money required in order to be able to do these things, right? So I want you to set some goals, and also let's not forget your core. That is a website or an app. I want you to set some goals on how you can improve your core, right? How are you going to improve your core, and how are you going to improve all of the other marketing activities that are going to contribute and bring traffic back to your core? Because remember, all of this, you see where all of these things pointing back to the core. It's not a pretty diagram for that reason. It's because everything you do from an SEO perspective, think about it. When you go on a search engine, you're directing people back to the website, right? When you go on, when you're doing email marketing, you're having people read your email to click over to go back to a website or app. Same thing with display, directing people back to our website. Social media is the same thing. A lot of people think, social media is just to stay there. No, it's to bring people, to convert them back on your website or your app, right? So you're going to get them to buy the product or service or whatever there. It's the same thing with all the rest of these things, except for analytics and tracking. So I want you to set some goals, right, for what your marketing is going to look like for each of these areas. And then I'm going to share this with you, and I want you to start working on this so that we can kind of work through it in class next week. which is your simple social media plan. Oops, what did I do? Let's go again. All right. So your simple social media plan, and this is a simple version, believe it or not, is where you're going to define, you're going to at least pick off and do these top 3 here, right? You're going to start these top 3. So you're going to define what your social media goals are and the KPIs. You're going to define who your target audience is and the personas. And I'm going to give you the breakdown in terms of your personas and how you should be, you know, like who's included in your persona list, right? So that you can go ahead and kind of pick that off and understand it and break down your personas. I also want you to start in terms of your content strategy by brainstorming all of the topics or pillars that are the topics that are most relevant to your business that you want to communicate on social media. And I want you to categorize them. That's the whole point of pillars, right? So I want you to categorize them. So say, for example, you know, you're doing the farm, you're talking about the nails business, right? Or let me deal with wig. Somebody have put wigs and lace wigs, right? If you're dealing in the lace wigs business, right? Some of the things that you might want to know about might be what glues you use for the front, guys. I never put on a wig before, so I don't know. So I guesstimate in here, right? But I've seen people do it, and I know people that do it, and so I just work with me. But maybe a topic that you want to communicate is the different glues that best for putting on the wig, right? The technique, right, of how you do hair so I'm putting on the wig. Maybe how you comb your hair and how you care for the underneath hair, right? For when it is that you're looking to put on a wig, right? Maybe it's a case where how you style the hair and keep they don't call it a wig again, them call it a unit, right? Am I saying the right words, Chandris? Right? It's a unit, don't it?
Yeah.
Right. So the unit, right? How do you style the unit? Start talking about the wig, guys. How do you style the unit, right? How do you wash the unit, right? How do you keep the unit intact? Because wigs these days, guys, it's not like a 2-week, 3-week wear, 1 month wear, then you dash wear. No, not the price of these wigs these days. It's a half life, right? Of it's a unit that can last you for at least 5 years if you care it, right? So you have to care it, how you care your hair, so how you wash it, right? How you style it, which products you put on it, those kind of things, right? Are content pieces you have to consider, right? You have to consider people's normal hair or natural hair that is underneath these units, right? So these are just some of the content you'll probably want to consider as well. Who can wear these units, right? I mean, maybe this is a low liberal, but who can wear these units, right? Who are they made for, right? You may want to consider, the different types of styling of these units. So all of these things you kind of want to consider, and you want to write down these topics, of the things that you really want to communicate with your social media. Always think of social media as a tool to be able to bring people back to whether it's your website. And it's fine if you don't have a website right now. And it's fine if social media is the only place that you have people right now, but it's still a driving tool to be able to convert people, to be able to, whether it is that, you're getting them, your end goal is to get them to DM you directly, or it's to sign up somewhere, or it's to reach out to you to find out where your store is. There's still a conversion that is happening there. So you want to be able to write down all of the topics that are associated with your social, that you want to be coming out in your social media content, and put that down. So when we go through next week, we're going to go through these things. So once again, no homework, right? That's okay. That's how I stay. We're going to set some goals for our overall marketing activities from a digital perspective. We're going to come and zoom in on our social media plan, and we're going to set some social media goals and KPIs, define our personas and within our target audience. And remember, the difference between a persona and a target audience is that a persona specifically is some person who is, you might have a target audience, for example, the farm store, as I mentioned before, which are people that work on our own farms, but a persona is really some person that you find is a repeated, some person that comes to your business, or you want to be repeated and coming to your business, right? So you find it's a popular type of, not popular, it is someone who represents, it doesn't have to be a physical person, it can be fictional, but someone who represents your ideal customer, right? So whether your ideal customer is, a farm owner that so happens to, be in St. Thomas or wherever, and they have a kid and they have, a husband, and they're also, that's their full-time job, all of these things you have to consider, the economic background, all of that. These are the things you want to put into your personas. And we're going to start developing the content strategy by looking at the content topics. So, whole heap of things going this week, and I'm hoping that it was all useful to you. I'm hoping that you were able to grasp a lot. It's a lot of information, but I wanted to certainly make sure that this was a space where you can learn a lot. They talk about digital strategies for entrepreneurship. I'm trying to give you as much as I possibly can to really be able to help you to maximize, everything in your business. And this is an amalgamation of things that I have learned through business, I have trained on for several years, and also, I also teach on, right? So I'm just trying to bring it into a very, very, very tight-knit thing in order to be able to make it relevant to you. We only have 6 hours in total to do these 2 sessions, but I'm just trying to give you as much as you can without confusing you, to give you a good head start so that you can be able to, move to the next stage. So that's it for me for today. I'm going to hand over back to this at this point. Gonna hand over to Shanae. Shanae.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to you.
I'm here. Oh my God, Karen, so we can't pay you, but we can't pay you for this level of information you've been passing on.
It's okay.
Thank you, guys. I tell you, we're going through a monitoring and evaluation period now at the lab, and a lot of times, things come up as to how we can improve what it is that we're doing. And one of the things that came up is just, digital media training and stuff like that. And we were constantly trying to find persons who could help us with that one, because, we're a project, and, we don't always have the funds to be able to do these types of training. So I really appreciate what you're doing for us. And I know that the participants also really appreciate that as well. Guys, do Karen's homework, please. Karen looks like a nice lady, but Karen don't play.
Not at all.
They do work, their homework. It's only to benefit you. Trust me, guys. It's only to benefit you. I'm gonna hand over the floor now to Shauna Todd. You guys, I don't think you guys have ever met her. She's the coordinator of the webinar. She was responsible for getting Karen and everybody together and everything together. I'm gonna pass it on to her.
Hi.
And also thank you also. She does a way better thank you. Shauna said this level. Mine is all over the place. So she can properly articulate a thank you.
Oh, geez. Well,
right? Shauna, over to you.
Well, Karen, on behalf of our cohort here, I can't tell you thank you enough. I myself have learned so much. I'm here. I hear you say certain terms, and I'm on Google looking it up, and I'm like, wow, how can I apply this now to my business and my upcoming businesses that I'm thinking of? So I can't thank you enough. This was an awesome 3 hours. I said it in the chat a while ago. I can't even imagine where businesses are gonna go from here on out. So with this content and this information that you've shared with us, I only see the sky being not the limit, but where we're going to reach in the near future. So thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to next week. I'm going to see if anybody else can join us, because this content is so rich and so valuable. It's needed, especially at a time like this. So thank you so much, Karen, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you all. See you next week.
All righty.
joining. It's really appreciated. We see you tomorrow, next week. Not tomorrow, next week, guys. Take care. Be safe. Be good.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your Sunday and a great week.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us too. And see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.